Chapter 232. On Earth, spirit gathering stage cultivators were big shots. But here, spirit gathering stage cultivators were just waiters. Along the way, Jiang Xi was no longer surprised by such a scene. However, the two did not stay in the public trading hall of the Gray Cloud building. Shen Wanxi was indeed as influential as he said. He directly took Jiang Xi to the manager of the Gray Cloud Star Trade Hall, who was in charge of receiving VIPs. At the same time, he also introduced the situation of the Gray Cloud Star to Jiang Xi. The Gray Cloud sect is the most powerful immortal Dao sect in the Blue Star region. It rules the entire Blue Star region. It is said that the sect's ancestor is at the Dao integration stage and is extremely powerful. The Gray Cloud Star Trade Hall is the largest interstellar trading group under the Gray Cloud sect. It is responsible for the interstellar trading of the sect. Their business is all over the 9-star regions of the Dao Alliance. Shen Wanxi's face was full of envy, because he was also an interstellar merchant, but he only had a small caravan under him. Compared with a behemoth like the Gray Cloud Star Trade Hall, it was like the difference between a small stone and the blue star. When Shen Wanxi said these words, he was also secretly observing Jiang Xi's reaction. However, he found that Jiang Xi's face still remained calm, as if the power of the Gray Cloud sect was not surprising in Jiang Xi's eyes. What is the origin of this guy? Along the way, I didn't notice any change in this guy's expression, nor did he reveal any more identity information. I only know that he came from the Minglan Star region. Shen Wanxi was full of curiosity about Jiang Xi. Of course, it was not out of curiosity. He really wanted to make friends with Jiang Xi. After all, there were not many gold core stage cultivators on the Blue Star who could make the guards of the teleportation hall line up to welcome them. This kind of person's background was definitely not simple. Shen Wanxi was a businessman and knew the importance of making friends with nobles. Therefore, when he left the teleportation hall just now, he took the initiative to catch up with Jiang Xi. When he learned that Jiang Xi was looking for a place to exchange something, he led the way to the Gray Cloud Star Trade Hall. In fact, Jiang Xi was quite shocked. Dao integration stage. In addition to Daoist Guanin Tiansheng, he heard of another Dao integration stage powerhouse. Although he was shocked, his face did not show the slightest abnormality. The patriarch of the immortal Dao sect that ruled an entire star region was only at the Dao reunion level. Then, how powerful was the Purple Heaven sect that Daoist Gu belonged to? Jiang Xi thought to himself. Following Shen Wanxi, they soon arrived at the VIP reception area of the Gray Cloud Star Trade. He wasn't afraid that Shen Wanxi was a scammer. Societal experience was applicable everywhere. Shen Wanxi might have thought that he knew nothing about planet Songlan, but in fact, in Daoist Ji's inherited memories, there was a general introduction to planet Songlan. It was just that Shen Wanxi didn't know it in detail. Steward Zhua, this is Brother Jiang Xi from Minglan Star region. He wants to exchange something with you. Shen Wanxi introduced Jiang Xi to a well-dressed old man. Hello, young Master Jiang Xi. Steward Zhua's eyes lit up as he hurriedly invited Jiang Xi to take a seat. He knew Shen Wanxi's ability to recognize people. Since Shen Wanxi treated him so warmly, Jiang Xi's identity must not be simple. Jiang Xi sat down casually. With a sweep of his soul sense, he found that Steward Zhua's cultivation was at the late stage of the Gold Core realm, just like Shen Wanxi. A small VIP steward had such a cultivation, which was enough to show how powerful the Gray Cloud Star trade was. It should be easier for him to exchange something this time. Then, he directly told Steward Zhua what he wanted. My family didn't give me many things when I went out this time, and I'm almost out of spiritual crystals. I just want to exchange some spiritual crystals on planet Songlan. That's easy. Our Gray Cloud Star trade is famous for its fair prices in the Blue Star region. Take out the things you want to exchange and I'll help you appraise them first. Steward Zhua said with a smile. He had received similar business countless times, so he was not surprised. Next to him, Shen Wanxi's eyes flashed. He wanted to know what treasures Jiang Xi could take out. From this, he could see Jiang Xi's background. Jiang Xi was very calm. He took out a stone that was 3 inches in length, width, and height from his storage ring and threw it on the table in front of Steward Zhua. A stone? Shen Wanxi lost interest. He thought it was something good. What was so good about a piece of broken stone? This is a wonderful stone. Steward's expression changed drastically. He jumped to his feet and was very excited. Yes, this is a wonderful stone. Jiang Xi nodded. A wonderful stone. Shen Wanzi was also shocked. He grabbed the stone and felt it. Then he exclaimed, "It's really a wonderful stone. When I hold it in my hand, the speed at which I absorb spiritual qi has increased by several times." Steward also took it and felt it. The shock on his face did not subside for a long time. He hesitated. "Young Master Jiang Xi, won't your family say something if you sell such a valuable thing? This was given to me by the ancestor. I have a lot of them, so I only keep them for fun." Jiang Xi's tone was calm. Shen Wanzi and Steward looked at each other. It turned out that he really was a super young master. How powerful was this ancestor? Such a large piece of wonderful stone, and he gave it to his own junior as a toy? How extravagant! The normal size of a wonderful stone was a cube with length, width, and height of 1 inch. The large piece of wonderful stone that Jiang Xi took out was 3 inches in length, width, and height. If it was divided, such a large wonderful stone could be divided into 27 pieces of normal size. And a normal piece of wonderful stone was enough to increase the efficiency of a cultivator's absorption and transformation of spiritual qi. For cultivators, it was an auxiliary cultivation treasure that could only be encountered by chance. Even the Zongyun sect, which ruled an entire star region, didn't have many wondrous stones. In the Zongyun sect, only those genius disciples were qualified to have a small piece. "Give me a price. I'm in a hurry." Jiang Xi smiled faintly. His smile was like a spring breeze, giving people a good impression. He had Taoist Ji's inherited memories, so of course he knew the preciousness of wonderful stones. But wonderful stones were of no use to him. He had the experience value panel, so the effect of the wonderful stone's auxiliary cultivation was not worth mentioning. What's more, he did have a lot of wonderful stones in his hands. He did not lie. These wonderful stones were left behind by the ancestor on Earth. When Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and the others first discovered the Jade Lake secret realm, they found many wonderful stones at the top of Mount Tongtian. How big were they? If he had to describe them, each of them was a stone block as big as a millstone. The one in the Genten Budokan Sky Training Camp was just one of them. Before he left this time, he took 3 wonderful stones of the same size from Xian Tian. How powerful was the Jade Lake secret realm at its peak? Wonderful stones are so precious, but they were casually used to make stone blocks. Jiang Xi could not help but sigh as he thought of this. On this side, Steward pondered for a moment and finally gave a price. Such a large piece of wonderful stone can be divided into 27 regular pieces. How about 300,000 low-grade spirit crystals? Chapter 233. Jiang Xi shook his head and chuckled. The market price of one stone is 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals, but there is no market for them. If you really want to buy one, the price will be at least 3 times higher. That is to say, after you buy them from me, if you sell them, you can sell them for at least 800,000. Steward laughed dryly. He thought that Jiang Xi was a prodigal young master who was easy to fool. He did not expect him to be so shrewd and know the market so well. "Then, young Master Jiang Xi, how much do you think is appropriate?" Steward asked. 600,000 low-grade spirit crystals. How about 500,000? 600,000. If it's not enough, it's just pocket money anyway. Jiang Xi's attitude was very firm and he would not budge. Steward's expression changed and he finally smiled bitterly. "Then let's do as young Master Jiang Xi said. Treat it as making friends. Next time if you have any good things you can consider asking me for help." The reason why he could agree so readily was very simple. With so many stones, if he sold them to Grey Cloud Star Trade, he could definitely sell them for a high price of 1 million. Of course he would definitely not sell them. At that time these stones would all be handed over to the Grey Cloud sect. After all, stones were auxiliary cultivation treasures that could only be found by chance. Sometimes they could not be bought even if you had money. Jiang Xi also understood this, so his attitude was so tough just now. He nodded gently and smiled. "That's easy. It just so happens that I want to buy something from you. Oh? If young Master Jiang Xi needs anything, just say the word. Our Gray Cloud Star Trades products are definitely the most complete in the Blue Star region. Steward Zhua's eyes lit up. I don't want my family to know my whereabouts this time, so I need to buy a new communication bead. And then give me 100,000-year-old and 10,000-year-old spiritual items. Jiang Xi chuckled. So many spiritual items? Young Master Jiang Xi wants to refine pills? Steward Zhua was surprised. I don't want to do that kind of laborious work. I want to buy some spiritual fruits to eat and taste the spiritual fruits of the Blue Star to see if they taste different. Jiang Xi shook his head. His demeanor was that of a rich young master who spent lavishly. Shen Wanxi and Manager Zhua looked at each other speechlessly. This was too much of a blow. The 1,000-year-old and 10,000-year-old spirit fruits were the raw materials for refining low-grade and mid-grade spirit pills respectively. They were extremely precious. Eating it like a fruit. Afterward, Jiang Xi picked a few types of phase and fruits that he had never eaten before. Not long after, an attendant of the Golden Core stage came over with a storage ring. It contained the things that Jiang Xi needed, including a communication bead. Steward Zhua inspected the goods one by one for Jiang Xi. These are top-grade messaging pearls, worth 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals. As long as you are within the 9 great star fields of the Tao Alliance, you can use them to send messages. And these spiritual items? Jiang Xi waved his hand to stop him from introducing the items. No need for that. Just calculate the price. Steward Zhua did not mind and quickly stated the price. A 1,000-year-old fruit costs 100 low-grade spirit crystals. A 10,000-year-old fruit costs 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals. Together with the communication bead, the total price is 120,000. This time Jiang Xi did not haggle. That would ruin his image. How could a spendthrift like him do something as lowly as haggling? 120,000 low-grade spirit crystals. Jiang Xi's heart was throbbing with pain. If he calculated according to the blood spirit crystals, that would be 120,000 golden core cultivators. Of course, that was not the case. Low-grade spirit crystals were naturally formed, while blood spirit crystals were refined by the spirit refinement blood array. Young Master Jiang Xi, how do you want the rest of the spirit crystals? Do you want to deposit them in the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank or? Steward Zhua asked. Deposit 400,000 into the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank. As for the remaining 80,000, exchange them for 6 high-grade spirit crystals, 100 middle-grade spirit crystals, and 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals. I will keep them with me. Jiang Xi took out his identity jade token and added, open a new account in the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank with this information. Also prepare 2 more storage rings for me. I have other uses for them. His casual attitude convinced Steward Zhua and Shen Wanxi in the VIP room. Soon Steward Zhua took care of everything for Jiang Xi. The remaining spirit crystals were all stored in a new storage ring. He even gave Jiang Xi an empty storage ring as an additional gift. As for the spirit crystals stored in the Tao Alliance Crystal Bank, the next time Jiang Xi wanted to use them, he could just go and retrieve them. The Tao Alliance Crystal Bank was spread throughout the Tao Alliance's 9 great star zones. Basically, there were branches on the larger planets with life. It was very convenient to deposit and withdraw them. After receiving these items, Jiang Xi secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This way, this trip could be considered complete. After leaving planet Ash Cloud, Shen Wanxi's attitude became even more enthusiastic. He no longer called Jiang Xi brother. Instead, he called him Jiang Gu. He could be considered to have completely witnessed Jiang Xi's wealth. 600,000 low-grade spirit crystals. He had spent 120,000 of them without even blinking his eyes. He had been on planet Ash Blue for close to 100 years. Relying on an interstellar caravan under him, his savings had only just exceeded 200,000 low-grade spirit crystals. He was only 800,000 low-grade spirit crystals away from his dream of buying a manor in Waterfront City. People really couldn't compare with people. Shen Wanxi was now completely sure that Jiang Xi had a very powerful background. He asked enthusiastically, Jiang Gu, where are we going next? Let's go see the scenery of planet Ash Blue first. Jiang Xi smiled. Looking at romance or looking at specialties? Shen Wanzi smiled mischievously. Jiang Xi raised his eyebrows. Romance. Do I look like that kind of person? In the end, he followed Shen Wanzi to look at specialties. Planet Ash Blue is a famous trading planet in the Xixiao region. The atmosphere of interstellar trade is very strong. In such an environment, it gave birth to a special industry, the slave trade. I'm sure you've never seen this before, Jiang Ge. After all, there aren't many planets in the Taoist Alliance that can carry out legal slave trade. Shen Wanzi brought Jiang Xi to Planet Ash Blue's largest slave trade market. There were thousands of shops of various sizes in the entire market. In every shop, cultivators known as slaves were displayed. Stiff, numb, listless, desperate, angry, pessimistic. These slaves' faces were filled with all kinds of negative emotions. Seeing this scene, Jiang Xi was shocked, but he still tried to maintain a calm expression. There are even golden core slaves, and the price is clearly marked. Early golden core, 20,000 low-grade spirit crystals, mid-stage golden core, 50,000 low-grade spirit crystals, and late-stage golden core, 100,000 low-grade spirit crystals. Spirit nurturing is even cheaper. The highest is only 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals. Previously, when he was sorting out Taoist Ji's inherited memories, he had a brief understanding of the slave trade in interstellar space. However, the shock brought by the memories was definitely not as deep as seeing it with his own eyes. After all, Taoist Gu was a Dao integration stage elite who stood at the peak of cultivation. A slave trade like this was not within his scope of concern. Chapter 234. The shop in front should have some good stuff. 10 years ago, that slave merchant bought a planet of life in the desolate galaxy from a team of space hunters. The natives of that planet are actually the Catmen clan, which has been extinct in the universe for a long time. Those Catwomen are all stunningly beautiful. Tisk, Shen Wanzi had a look that all men understood. The two entered the shop. Bosses, come and take a look. My Catwomen are all top-notch goods. You can't find another shop like them in the entire Kanglan Star region, or even the entire Xixiao region. And our family's goods are also the safest. Whether it's the gold core stage or the spirit gathering stage, we have placed a restriction in the depths of their sea of consciousness. Even the ordinary goods, we have also placed a blood restriction. I guarantee that they are the most obedient. The shop assistant, who was also in the gold core realm, greeted them warmly and introduced the slaves in the shop to them. Jiang Xi glanced around the shop. The owner of this shop was very good at doing business. Every Catwoman was locked in a cage. Judging by their cultivation, these Catwomen ranged from ordinary people to the spirit gathering realm, and then to the gold core realm. The Catwomen in the spirit gathering realm and the gold core realm were extremely angry, while the ordinary Catwomen were terrified. Coupled with their beautiful figures, they were indeed pitiful. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart and shook his head. Not bad. They are quite attractive. But they are not as good as the butterfly maids in my house. Butterfly maids? That's the best slave maids. Shen Wanzi was surprised. Hearing this, the shop assistant's eyes lit up. It turned out that he was a big boss. He quickly said, "Boss, butterfly maids and Catwomen have their own characteristics. It's okay to buy some more Catwomen. Our shop has a uniform price. Ordinary Catwomen only cost 1,000 low-grade spiritual crystals, spirit gathering Catwomen 10,000, and gold core Catwomen 100,000. Buy 10 and get 1 free." Seeing that Jiang Xi's expression remained unchanged, he added, "Of course, we also have the treasure of our shop, a Catwoman in the late gold core realm. If you want, you only need to pay 200,000. Next time. Jiang Xi suddenly lost interest. Ignoring the shop assistant's pleas to stay, he left the shop with Shen Wanzi. Shen Wanzi did not notice Jiang Xi's abnormality because Jiang Xi's current state of silence was no different from before he was still sighing. Sometimes I really envy those starry sky hunters. They can rely on their powerful combat strength to roam the starry sky. Especially those space hunters who specialize in finding life planets in the desolate star system. If they can find a life planet and sell it to a slave merchant, they will become rich instantly. Buying a manor in Linhai City is also a piece of cake. After all, even the lowest level 1 life planet can be sold for at least 1 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Of course, these space hunters are all people who live on the edge of a blade. Sometimes, if they are unlucky, they might encounter a powerful wild planet. It is common for them to be killed by the natives. Therefore, in the entire slave industry, the ones who make the most money are still the slave merchants. They buy life planets in the desolate star system and use them as slave breeding bases. Then, through the huge population base, they can cultivate spirit-nurturing golden core and even nascent soul cultivators as slaves. And the lower the level of a life planet, the easier it is to make money, because the fertility of low-level life forms is generally higher. For example, a level 1 life planet can have a population of more than 10 billion. If there is one spirit-nurturing cultivator among 100 million people, it is considered a profit. After 100 years, they can earn 1 million low-grade spiritual crystals. What they earn in the future is pure profit. It is simply a small capital and a huge profit. Shen Wanxi's talkative nature was brought to the extreme. His mood alternated between low and high. Jiang Xi looked calm, but in fact, he was listening attentively. These things were not in Taoist Ji's inherited memories. He put away the pride he had felt in Planet Grey Cloud star trade. He remained silent, feeling suffocated. It was not that he felt sad for the situation of those slaves, because he was not qualified. He was not a genius from a top immortal Tao sect or an ancient family. The Earth he was on was very similar to the planet where those feline girls lived. They were both uncivilized planets. On the feline girl planet, the strongest feline girl was only a late-stage golden core cultivator. After being caught by the starry sky hunters, they became slaves that could be sold. The entire feline girl planet had also become a breeding base for slave traders. If Earth is also discovered by the starry sky hunters, Jiang Xi felt a sense of urgency in his heart. He was afraid that the fate of Earth would not be much better than that of the feline girl planet. In Taoist Ji's inherited memories, there was also detailed information about the level of life planets. The level classification standard was defined according to the strength of the life forms on a life planet. If the number of spirit-nurturing cultivators on a planet did not exceed 10, it was a level 1 life planet. If there were more than 10 spirit-nurturing cultivators under natural conditions, it was a level 2 life planet. By analogy, if there were more than 10 golden core cultivators, it was a level 3 life planet. According to this standard, Earth's current level was a level 3 life planet. However, Jiang Xi was very clear that Earth was not that simple. Jade Lake Secret Realm, Fengdu Secret Realm, E Mountain Secret Realm, and so on. Those mythical places hid countless secrets. In terms of value, perhaps Earth could be ranked at the top of the entire Blue Star region. Therefore, Earth must not be discovered by other planets. After leaving the slave trading market, Shen Wanxi suggested again, Jiang Ge, why don't you go and see the scenery again? Jiang Xi smiled naturally and said, I suddenly remembered that I have something to deal with. I need to go to another planet first. Shen Wanxi was stunned for a moment and sighed. That's a pity. I still want to take Jiang Ge to see the most beautiful scenery of Blue Star. Next time you come, you must contact me. He did not dare to ask, nor did he dare to guess whether Jiang Xi was all right or not. In any case, he did not want to continue shopping. That's not a problem. Jiang Xi nodded. They had already exchanged communication marks, so they could contact each other through the communication bead next time. Then, Shen Wanxi personally sent Jiang Xi to the teleportation hall of Linhai City. As soon as the two of them entered, a cold young man wearing a black spiritual armor walked towards them. Behind the young man was the guard captain, Gong Shi, who bowed 90 degrees. Sir, please take care. Gong Shi smiled from ear to ear. The young man did not have any expression. When he passed by Jiang Xi, he took a few more glances. His eyes were extremely sharp, as if he could see through Jiang Xi. At this time, Shen Wanxi was also very respectful, even if the young man did not look at him at all. Jiang Xi understood why the two of them were so humble. Nascent Soul Stage. Chapter 235. This was the second time Jiang Xi had seen a nascent soul cultivator since the Fengdu mystic realm. Very strong. Jiang Xi watched the other party leave. Although his expression was calm, his heart was filled with fear. With his current strength, he was not confident of winning against a nascent soul cultivator. Cultivators who could cultivate to the nascent soul stage had basically comprehended one or more Dao intents. Those with high comprehension could even comprehend a deeper level of Dao domain. Their combat strength was 10 times, or even 100 times stronger than a golden core cultivator. Jiang Xi looked at the experience panel. Cultivation. Golden core late stage 9400-039-7500. Dao technique. Gale intent 500-000/500-000. Sword intent 1000000/1000000. Amplitude 20 deduction 10,000 experience points per time. Cultivation technique. Purple firmament sword manual. Peacock visualization experience points 20. 8 million. Both Dao intents were already perfected. Only his cultivation was still far from the perfected late-stage golden core stage. If I meet an early-stage nascent soul cultivator who has comprehended one Dao intent, I can still fight. Any more and I won't be able to do it. Jiang Xi looked at the back of the cold youth again. This person's cultivation exceeded early-stage nascent soul, so he must have comprehended more than one Dao intent. I'm no match for him. If this person is a little stronger and has comprehended a Dao domain, then he'll be even more powerful. The universe is vast and there are countless geniuses. Master didn't lie to me. On Earth he had already reached the peak. But in the universe he was still very weak. His name is Feng Si, one of the best nascent soul disciples in the Zhongyun sect. It's said that he has only cultivated for 300 years, and has already comprehended a Dao domain. He's very powerful. Shen Wanzi waited until the cold youth was far away before he dared to speak and told Jiang Xi about the youth's identity. Jiang Xi nodded lightly, feeling surprised and helpless. Surprised that this person had indeed comprehended a Dao domain. The next level after true Dao intent was Dao domain. What made him helpless was that in this half a year, he had spent tens of millions of experience points and deduced thousands of times, but he still couldn't deduce the next level of Gale intent and Sword intent. Jiang Xi decided that when he returned this time, he had to work harder and concentrate on cultivating so that he could succeed in his deduction. Not far away, Gong Shi had already seen Jiang Xi. When he walked over, he happened to hear Shen Wanzi's words. He first bowed respectfully to Jiang Xi, then smiled and said, Lord Feng Si is a genius that is hard to come by in 1,000 years in our Zhongyun sect. According to our sect master, Lord Feng Si will definitely be able to cultivate the primordial spirit within 1,000 years. His tone was filled with pride, as if he could cultivate the primordial spirit himself. Cough cough, old Gong, young master Jiang Xi isn't bad either. Shen Wanzi quickly interrupted. He was worried that Gong Shi's words would make Jiang Xi unhappy. Heroes attract but geniuses repel. Especially since Jiang Xi was born with a noble background, he might not like cultivators who were more talented than him. Haha, yes, Lord Jiang Xi is also a genius that is hard to come by. Gong Shi reacted and quickly laughed. Jiang Xi. The cultural difference was obvious. It could be seen that Shen Wanzi and Gong Shi had known each other for a long time, and their relationship should be good. However, the way they addressed each other was very offensive. I have something to do, so I have to leave Kanglin planet first, Jiang Xi said to Gong Shi. Sir, please follow me. Gong Shi brought Jiang Xi and Shen Wanzi to the interstellar teleportation array in the depths of the teleportation hall. Jiang Ge, since we've known each other for a long time, I'll pay the teleportation fee for you this time. Shen Wanzi smiled. Thank you, but I'll do it myself. The next time I come to Kanglin planet, you can just treat me to the scenery. Jiang Xi politely refused. He didn't like to take advantage of others. The interstellar teleportation fee was 10,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. Shen Wanzi's entire wealth was only 200,000. Lord Jiang Xi, let me help you activate the teleportation array. Gong Shi was also very enthusiastic. Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. I've studied teleportation arrays before, so I can operate it myself. The coordinates of the interstellar teleportation array on the first moon could not be exposed, so he could only operate it himself. Then, under the watchful eyes of Shen Wanzi and Gong Shi, He set the teleportation coordinates on the interstellar teleportation array and activated it with a hand seal. The complicated teleportation pattern appeared again, and Jiang Xi waved at the two of them in a dazzling light before disappearing into the interstellar teleportation array. Shen Wanzi and Gong Shi both let out a long breath and looked at each other. Then, Gong Shi directly went into the interstellar teleportation array and checked it. It's a teleportation mark that has been encrypted by an expert in teleportation arrays. I can't find the coordinates of the other end of the teleportation array. Gong Shi shook his head. What a mysterious person. Shen Wanzi sighed. Gong Shi asked curiously, Xiao Si, did you find out where Lord Jiang Xi came from? No, I only know that he has a great background and is very rich. He took out a fist-sized rock like it's a toy, and he even has a butterfly girl at home. Shen Wanzi told him what had happened at the planet Songyun and the slave market. Gong Shi was shocked. In the solar system, the interstellar teleportation array on the dark side of the first moon appeared. After the Heaven and Earth Spirit Lock array was unlocked, the Heaven and Earth Spirit Qi on the first moon gradually recovered. The surrounding Heaven and Earth Spirit Qi gathered and provided sufficient energy for the operation of the interstellar teleportation array. Jiang Xi's figure appeared in the interstellar teleportation array again. Interstellar half-day tour. Looking at the desolate environment on the moon, Jiang Xi let out a long breath. He was finally home. Then, he swept up the wind and sand and buried the interstellar teleportation array again. Fortunately, Master added a personal mark to this interstellar teleportation array. Cultivators from other planets cannot be teleported here. In this way, the possibility of Earth being discovered by the outside world is very small. This time Jiang Xi not only saw the prosperous side of the starry sky, but also saw the cruel side. The tragic experience of the cat female planet raised his sense of urgency and vigilance to the highest. He could not relax just because he had reached the peak of Earth. He had to work hard to improve his cultivation. Then Jiang Xi flew to the dilapidated Guanghan Palace and returned to Earth through the teleportation array there. Pak Sun Province, Villa 92 in Tongtian District. Jiang Xi had just returned when he saw Zhang Daodu standing guard beside the teleportation formation. A smile appeared on his face. The heavy mood he had brought back from planet Songlan instantly dissipated. As an adult, he had to be able to control his emotions and not bring a bad mood home. Brother, where's the gift? Zhang Daodu stretched out her hand and asked with a smile. The little girl's heart was completely at ease. Here, a specialty of planet Songlan. Jiang Xi flipped his hand and took out an exquisite storage ring. Unexpectedly, Zhang Daodu's little face turned red. She said angrily, Brother, I'm not an adult yet. Jiang Xi, I know you're 4 months and 3 days away from 18. Chapter 236. Cough, this is your storage ring. When you reach the spirit gathering stage, you can refine it. Hey, why didn't you say so earlier? Zhang Daodu snatched the ring. Looking at her happy face, it was obvious that the misunderstanding just now did not affect her at all. Work hard in your cultivation and strive to break through to the spirit gathering stage as soon as possible. Jiang Xi rubbed Zhang Daodu's head. Don't worry. My visualization is only 10% away from completion. Zhang Daodu was full of confidence. Jiang Xi nodded. He was completely assured about Zhang Daodu's talent. After the 4th recovery of spiritual aura, he passed on the skills of peacock visualization and self-visualization to Zhang Daodu. In less than a year, the little girl was almost done. Her visualization speed was only 2 months slower than him. Zhang Daodu not only had outstanding talent in cultivation, but also her comprehension was first class. After that, he did not do anything. After all, a normal person's life was still necessary. In the evening, taking advantage of the night, Jiang Xi accompanied the little girl to practice the art of assassination for half a day. The next day, Jiang Xi sent a message to Xiantian and Li Baibai respectively, making an appointment to meet in Xiantian City. After eating breakfast and taking a stroll, he flew to Xiantian City. At this time, Xiantian and Li Baibai were already waiting there. Both of them were a little strange. Why did Jiang Xi want to see them at this time? Especially Xiantian, he just met Jiang Xi yesterday. Jiang Xi took 3 wonderful stones from him. In the past 6 months this kid has been a little mysterious, and he likes to kill monsters very much. He doesn't even let go of the F-class monsters. The monsters in the wilderness around Pak Sun Province are all afraid of him." Xiantian laughed. Not only Pak Sun Province, he also visited the wilderness of Luo City Prefecture many times and killed nearly 1,000,000 monsters. If he continues to kill like this, we will soon be able to completely solve the monster crisis. Li Baibai said. "Big brother, sister Baibai, the monster crisis is not so easy to solve. The monsters on land are easy to kill, but the monsters in the sea are not." Zhang Xi's voice came from outside, and then he appeared in front of the two. His words made Xiantian and Li Baibai stunned. Indeed, their strength is very strong on land, but in the sea it's hard to say. Moreover, there were more monsters in the sea than on land. There were at least 100 times more of them. With such a large base, who knows how many golden core monsters there are? The three of them did not dwell on the monster problem, because they knew that it was not realistic to solve the monster crisis on Earth at this stage. They could consider solving the problem on land, but this was not the purpose of Zhang Xi today. "Tell us, why are you looking for us today? Why are you being so mysterious?" Xiantian laughed. Li Baibai also looked at Zhang Xi curiously. Zhang Xi's expression became serious, and he said in a deep voice, "I left Earth yesterday and went to another planet with life." "What?" Xiantian and Li Baibai were so shocked that they stood up and looked at each other. However, the two of them were originally the first and second strongest on Earth, so they had strong mental fortitude. They quickly calmed down and asked, "Went to another planet with life? How did he go to other planets with life? What do the aliens look like? Are they powerful?" The last question was obviously asked by Xiantian. Zhang Xi said, "You should remember that I once trained at Jade Lake's Heaven Tower for more than a year. There, I learned about the teleportation portal and found out that the first moon has an interstellar teleportation portal to other planets." He had concealed this point and lied that he had obtained it from the Heavenly Tower. He did not reveal any information about Daoisku. Anyway, other than him, no one else could see an Aishang, so they did not know whether it was true or not. Xiantian nodded and said, "Actually, Baibai and I found some clues in some arcane realms. Earth might have been related to aliens in the past, but we did not find any concrete evidence. I didn't expect you to find it first. Tell us, where did you go? What's the situation on other planets?" Li Baibai urged. After that, Zhang Xi told them what he saw on planet Songlan. At the end of his narration he said solemnly, "Big brother, sister Baibai, we are the three strongest people on Earth now. We have to become stronger. If the Starry Sky Wanderers discover Earth, our situation may be worse than the Feline Lady planet." Xiantian and Li Baibai were silent. After a long time, the two of them let out a long sigh. Planet Songlan is just a guard team, but it's comparable to the top forces on Earth. Planet Songlan, which is similar to Earth in terms of strength, has become a breeding base for slave traders. Hearing the two of them sighing, Zhang Xi's heart was also very heavy. He had thought long and hard before telling Xiantian and Li Baibai about this matter. It was still too weak to rely on his own strength to protect the Earth. If he did not count his existence, Xiantian and Li Baibai were actually the real geniuses of the Spirit Qi revival era. Their talent and comprehension were top geniuses even in the universe. It was the best choice to work with the two of them to protect Earth. However, Zhang Xi understood that his words should be a big blow to Xiantian and Li Baibai. They suddenly realized that the world was so big, and there were countless existences stronger than them. This contrast would make anyone uncomfortable, right? However, the next moment Zhang Xi was stunned. Such a starry sky is really exciting. Li Baibai, who had always been calm, could not suppress the excitement in her heart at this time. "Zhang Xi, you sneaked to an alien planet by yourself. You didn't even bring us along for such an exciting event." Xiantian was even more furious as he glared at him. "Big brother, sister Baibai, you guys." Zhang Xi was really dumbfounded. The reactions of these two people were not what he had imagined. "Haha, do you think our worldview will be shocked and we will be so scared that we will doubt life?" Xiantian laughed. "Actually, Big brother and I have been bored to death. Before the fourth Spirit Qi revival, those old guys on Earth were hiding and we couldn't find any opponents at all." Li Baibai explained with a smile. "Yeah, this situation has been going on for 30 or 40 years. It wasn't until some time ago in the holy city of the West that I finally had a good fight and satisfied my craving. Xiantian said again. Jiang Xi. He finally understood that these two were fighting maniacs. Even Li Baibai, who was calm on the surface, had a fighting passion. Aren't you worried at all? If Earth is discovered by the star hunters? Jiang Xi asked. Jiang Xi, let's not give up eating for fear of choking. Instead of worrying about these uncertain things, it's better to think about how to improve your strength. Thinking about it will only increase your worries and affect your usual cultivation. Li Baibai shook her head and chuckled. Chapter 237. Don't give up eating for fear of choking. Jiang Xi suddenly realized that what he said made sense. Xiantian also laughed. What are you afraid of? Earth is not the feline girl planet. There are many secrets on our planet. Think about it, how long did it take for the three of us to cultivate from ordinary people to the golden core stage? I spent 60 years and 50 years in vain and you? Forget it, let's not talk about it. Jiang Xi smiled. He understood what Xiantian meant. Not to mention his existence as a cheat, Xiantian and Li Baibai's cultivation speed was definitely at the level of geniuses. In the universe, cultivators who reached the golden core stage within 100 years could be called geniuses. Because under normal circumstances it would take 200 or 300 years to cultivate to the golden core stage. Moreover, Earth's secrets were not limited to that. After several revivals of spirit chi, the cultivators and monsters on Earth had improved as a whole. This was not seen on other planets. Earth was not simple. So just cultivate well. Maybe in the future, when the starry sky wanderers really find Earth, we will already be in the nascent soul stage or even the nascent soul stage. We can kill them with a slap. Xiantian patted Jiang Xi's shoulder earnestly. Jiang Xi. At this point, his heart was completely at ease. Indeed, as Xiantian and Li Baibai said, Earth was not the feline girl planet. There were so many secrets that were the foundation and backing of their growth. Moreover, he had the experience value panel. Sooner or later, he would be promoted to a higher realm. As long as he was strong enough, what was there to be afraid of? Xiantian waited for a long time. Seeing that Jiang Xi did not respond, he took the initiative to urge, hurry up, what are you waiting for? Didn't you say you brought us gifts? Li Baibai also chuckled. Jiang Xi smiled and gave the two of them the storage rings he had prepared. The storage ring he had brought back from planet Grey Cloud was naturally not as big as the storage ring Daoist Gu had left for him. However, in the eyes of Xiantian and Li Baibai, no matter how small it was still a rare item. They had been thinking for a long time about the storage Dharma treasure that cultivators needed. As expected of our good little brother. The two of them did not hesitate to decline. They were both adults, and with their relationship, there was no need for such a hypocritical gesture. Just like when Jiang Xi came to Xiantian yesterday to ask for something, Xiantian directly gave him 3 stones the size of a stone pear. With so many magical stones, it was enough to buy 100 level 1 life planets. Therefore, Jiang Xi felt apologetic and said, Big brother, big sister, bye-bye. I also obtained other inheritances in the Jade Lake's heaven-reaching tower. I can share them with you. You won't be affected if you share it with us, right? Although the two of them were tempted, they still considered Jiang Xi first. Jiang Xi chuckled. It doesn't matter. He decided to choose 2 complete inheritances from Daoist Ji's inheritance memories, and pass them to Xiantian and Li Baibai. Of course, these 2 inheritances were not as precious as the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra, but they were still powerful inheritances that Daoist Gu had collected in his long cultivation career. After all, anything that could be left in the inheritance memories of a Dao integration stage powerhouse would definitely not be bad. Xiantian and Li Baibai were overjoyed. With these inheritances, their cultivation would have a basic direction. They would no longer need to fumble around and would improve faster in the future. After returning from Xiantian City, Jiang Xi entered seclusion again. Of course, his seclusion was still different from others. With the experience points panel, everything became very simple. Gain experience points, improve cultivation, deduce Dao techniques. The process was just these 3. The only thing that limited his improvement speed was spirit chi energy. Now this limitation was also gone. The spiritual fruits he brought back from planet Songlan were enough for him to use for a long time. Thus, Jiang Xi ate 4,000-year-old spiritual fruits first. With the help of the huge amount of spirit qi energy, he maxed out the experience points of the late-stage golden core stage and touched the final bottleneck of the golden core stage. The next step is to find a way to break through to the nascent soul stage. Jiang Xi had already memorized the nascent soul stage method in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. The nascent soul stage required the cultivator to have a preliminary understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth and comprehend the true meaning of Tao. Then, the power of Tao would be used to nurture the golden core and finally the nascent soul. Therefore, from this point of view, cultivators who could cultivate to the nascent soul stage had at least comprehended one true meaning of Tao. It's easy to say but difficult to do. More than 90% of the cultivators in the universe are stuck at the late-stage golden core stage and can't break through to the nascent soul stage because their comprehension is too poor, and they can't comprehend the true meaning of Tao. For example, Shen Wanxi, Gongshi, and manager Zhua, whom he met on planet Songlan, were all at the late-stage golden core stage. They had been cultivating for more than 200 years, but they were stuck at this stage. Jiang Xi had secretly observed the three of them before. They didn't have any Taoist rhyme on them. Obviously, they hadn't comprehended the true meaning of Tao. I have already comprehended two complete true meanings of Tao. Nurturing the golden core is a piece of cake for me. Jiang Xi was full of confidence. Breaking through to the nascent soul stage was a piece of cake for him. Then he started to use the yin-yang nurturing method, recorded in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra, to manipulate the two true meanings of Tao and nurture the golden core. The true meaning of gale and the true meaning of sword, one is soft and the other is hard. It fits perfectly with the yin-yang nurturing method recorded in the Purple Firmament Sword Sutra. After trying for half a month, Jiang Xi successfully condensed a gale and a sword shadow in his lower dantian and circled around the golden core. The gale and the sword shadow gave off an inexplicable Taoist rhyme, causing the golden core to start to change. It was as if a new life was being nurtured. At this rate, it'll take about 10 years for it to be completed. Riverward furrowed his brows slightly before relaxing them. It was already very fast to be able to form the nascent soul in just 10 years. In the universe, cultivators who had the ability to form the golden core into the nascent soul would take more than 100 years just to complete the nurturing stage. Some people who did not have enough lifespan would not even be able to complete the nurturing process until they died. It was very tragic. Only the top geniuses had the ability to complete the nurturing process within 100 years. I'll just nurture it myself like this. I'll focus on deriving Tao techniques for the rest of the time. Jiang Xi had a clear plan in mind. Using the experience points panel to derive Tao techniques required 10,000 experience points each time. He looked at his experience points balance, frowny face experience points. 28 million. These experience points were enough for him to derive 2,000 times. However, he could not just sit around and do nothing. Therefore, he was prepared to go to the wilderness to hunt monsters and harvest experience points every once in a while. He had to ensure that his experience points balance was sufficient. After all, other planets might not have an environment like Earth with so many monsters. Other than deriving Tao techniques, Jiang Xi did not forget to continue to organize and comprehend Taoist Ji's inherited memories. As his cultivation base improved, he could already practice some of the miscellaneous skills and secret arts. For example, the soul-searching technique, the spiritual sense restriction, and so on. Just like that, although the strength data on the panel had temporarily stagnated with the bottleneck of the golden core stage. However, the increase in his strength did not stop. Just like that, another month passed. Chapter 238. Solar System, Mars. A flying ship shuttled through space and silently appeared in the starry sky outside Mars. Then it began to land on the surface of the planet. On the deck of the flying ship, Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong were carefully observing the environment of Mars. Captain, the cosmic energy and gravity of this planet are close to the standard of a life planet. Qiu Hong's voice was filled with excitement. Her temperament was slightly feminine, and she was extremely beautiful. It's just a little dead, like an abandoned life planet, Chu Zhe said. Let's go down and take a look first. Hu Yan frowned. They had already been exploring this desolate galaxy for 2 months, but they had yet to discover a true life-bearing planet. The flying ship quickly landed on Mars. The three of them took out the astrolabe and quickly scanned it, collecting all kinds of data on this planet. Soon, they returned to the flying ship in disappointment. This planet is indeed abandoned. There are only some ancient ruins that we can't even tell how old they are. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong's faces were filled with pity. The spiritual energy has dissipated, and it's no longer suitable for life. Hu Yan shook his head. Even if life had existed here a long time ago, its current state could no longer be defined as a life planet. Therefore, this planet had no value to them. But this is also considered good news. Since this planet once had a civilization, it means that there might be other life planets in this desolate galaxy. Hu Yan said with a smile. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong were also aware of this point. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. The flying ship set sail again and shuttled toward the next planet. Each time it shuttled, it could cross 100,000 kilometers. With the distance between Mars and Earth, they could reach the starry sky near Earth in less than an hour. Because there was no imprint of the Tao Alliance's Eye of Heaven, the astrolabe could not be used for navigation. When the three of them shuttled, they were very careful, worried that they would barge into some dangerous place. After another round of shuttling, the flying ship did not continue shuttling. Instead, it stopped in the void. Because they saw a blue planet. Even from thousands of miles away, they could vaguely feel the spiritual energy emitted by that planet. They were overjoyed and excited. Captain, this is definitely a life planet, and it's not just a grade 1. It might be a grade 2 life planet. The grade 2 life planet is worth at least 10 million low-grade spirit crystals. Captain, we've really struck gold. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong's excitement was expressed on their faces. They couldn't wait to rush into that azure blue planet and announce themselves as the planet's overlords. Hu Yan was a cautious person in his bones. Every time he reached a critical moment, he would be able to regain his composure. This was also the reason why they could break through the chaotic star belt of the pale blue star region. He took a deep breath and glanced at the Earth and the 2 moons that were orbiting it at the same time. 2 moons. This is a blessed land. The value of this planet might exceed 100 million lower spiritual crystals. 100 million. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong looked at each other excitedly. Captain, let's go in quickly. With the strength of the 3 of us, as long as it's not a life planet of level 3 or above, we can sweep through everything. Hu Yan smiled and controlled the flying ship to fly towards Earth. The closer they got to Earth, the more they felt that this planet was not simple, and the excitement in their hearts grew. Because the planet of life was right in front of them, the 3 of them ignored the exploration of the moon and headed straight for Earth. Soon the flying ship arrived at the outer space of Earth. The strange thing was that the satellites of the 5 major powers in space were like decorations. They did not notice the arrival of the airship at all. Such low-level technology. It seems that this is really a barren planet. Qiu Hong sneered. The flying ship they were driving had a formation enchantment engraved inside, which could easily block the detection of these satellites. Hu Yan and Chu Zhe also laughed. Generally, a powerful life planet of level 3 or above would have a large defensive formation enchantment. It was impossible for a flying ship like theirs to approach quietly. They had to pass through the enchantment channel to truly enter. Since there's a satellite network, it's much more convenient to investigate. Zhe, it's up to you. Hu Yan said with a smile. With satellite technology, it proved that the communication of information was not blocked. They could easily obtain a lot of information about this planet through the satellite. Chu Zhe grinned, took out his astrolabe, and continuously made hand seals to operate it. The astrolabe immediately projected a starry sky phantom, and in an instant it was forcefully connected to a nearby satellite. As long as it was information that had appeared on the Earth's network, it would all appear in this starry sky phantom. This was the crushing of civilization. The network firewalls of the various countries on Earth were simply vulnerable. Zhe, let's take a look at the situation of the cultivators on this planet, Hu Yan said. Chu Zhe nodded and began to search. This planet is called Earth. The history of civilization recorded in writing is less than 6,000 years old. What trash! After another 2 to 3 breaths, he suddenly said in surprise, there are no nascent soul cultivators on this planet. The highest cultivation is only at the late stage of golden core. As for the number of golden core cultivators, he did not continue to search. As long as there were no nascent soul cultivators, Because Hu Yan's combat strength was comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, he could sweep away any existence below the nascent soul stage. This is a level 3 life planet. It's worth at least 100 million. Qiu Hong was very excited. Captain, this is a desolate planet. Let me take action directly. I guarantee that I will capture all the cultivators above the golden core stage in an hour. Chu Zhe volunteered. He was also at the late stage of golden core stage, but as a space hunter who walked on the edge of life and death, he had rich combat experience. Moreover, he had just comprehended a true meaning of Tao. As long as he did not encounter a nascent soul cultivator, he was confident that he could defeat his opponent. Hu Yan shook his head. We still have to be cautious. The first rule of us hunters is to be cautious. Any planet could have fatal dangers. Let's see if there is any other important information on this planet. Although Chu Zhe was impulsive, he also understood that Hu Yan's words made sense. He continued to search for other information. Strange. In the past 100 years, there have been 4 spirit chi recoveries here. This has never been seen on other life planets. There are a lot of wild animals called monsters on this planet. Their numbers are actually more than the human race. This is a disgrace to the human race. Captain, look at what this is. There are actually demons on this planet. Chu Zhe suddenly exclaimed. From the astrolabe phantom, he waved his hand and called up a virtual video that was being played. It was the live broadcast video of Dragon Python and Black Tortoise testifying for Jiang Xi and the other 2. Dragon Python. Black Tortoise. This is the top bloodline of the demon race. I didn't expect that this desolate planet still has it. Hu Yan could not maintain his composure at this moment. His expression changed drastically. Chapter 239. There were countless races in the universe. The human race, the demon race, and the ghost race were the top races. Naturally, they were hostile to each other and fought against each other. The human race had occupied the 9 major galaxies with their powerful strength, and had killed all the demon and ghost races there. Therefore, there were no demon races in the 9 major galaxies of the Taoist Alliance. Only in some powerful immortal Tao sects or ancient families could they occasionally be seen. These ancient inheritances liked to use demons as servants, such as pulling carriages or guarding doors. The dragon python is rumored to have the bloodline of the winged dragon. Those ancient inheritances will definitely be tempted. Although this dragon python is only at the golden core stage, if it is auctioned, it will definitely be sold for a few million, if not 10 million. The black tortoise is not bad either. This bloodline is very rare, even in the demon race's galaxy. Hu Yan's eyes lit up. This time they had really found a treasure. They had actually encountered 2 top bloodlines of the demon race on a 3rd-grade life planet. At the same time, he was also puzzled. Was the history of the civilization on this planet really less than 6,000 years old? Continue to search and see if there is any other secret information. Hu Yan remained calm. Chu Zhe was the only one in the team who had studied technology. He used the astrolabe to search quickly. Compared to the Eye of Heaven, which was the pinnacle of the Taoist Alliance's technological civilization, Earth's technology was too primitive. The Eye of Heaven covered the entire universe. Through the astrolabe and communication beads, one could establish contact with the Eye of Heaven. Chu Zhe searched for a while more, and his frown deepened. Finally, he said with a shocked expression, "Captain, there is a Grotto Heaven's secret realm on this planet." Grotto Heaven's secret realm. Hu Yan and Qiu Hong's expressions changed drastically. That was a powerful technique. Normally, only those who had comprehended the space Tao of the Heaven and Earth Tao had the strength to open up a Grotto Heaven's secret realm. Such a powerhouse was at least at the nascent soul stage. And there is more than one. There are more than 10 Grotto Heaven's secret realms. Chu Zhe felt his throat go dry. For a nascent soul stage cultivator, opening up a Grotto Heaven's secret realm with a radius of 100 miles was already the limit. If there were 10 Grotto Heaven's secret realms, then there were 10 nascent soul stage cultivators. They still did not know how big these Grotto Heaven's secret realms were. Or was it in existence with an even higher cultivation? No matter how calm Hu Yan was now, his face was filled with disbelief. He continued asking, "Do these Grotto Heaven's secret realms still have Tao orthodoxies?" The specific situation of these grotto heavens should have been deliberately concealed by the natives of this planet. However, we can be sure that these grotto heavens are in an abandoned state, Chuzé replied. Abandoned? That's right. If the expert who opened the grotto heaven's secret realm was still here, we wouldn't have been able to approach this planet so quietly. Just now, when we were 10,000 miles away, they could have killed us. Hu Yan exhaled, trying to calm the shock in his heart. Then, he speculated, I think we might have encountered the ruins of a civilization. There used to be a powerful civilization on this planet, and the current civilization was built on an ancient ruin. Chuzé and Qiuhong nodded in agreement. Captain, this just shows that the value of this planet is higher than we thought. The excitement of the three could no longer be described with words. They couldn't wait to rush into the planet and plunder everything inside. This was a wild planet that hid a great deal of value, and the strongest cultivator was only at the late Golden Core realm. Such a lucky chance was simply given away for free. Now, Hu Yan took a deep breath and prepared to control the flying ship to land on the surface of the planet. At this moment, he frowned and took out his communication pearl. He saw that the rune mark on the communication pearl was glowing. Someone was sending him a message. The heavenly eye of the Taoist Alliance covered the entire universe. As long as the communication pearl's grade was high enough, it could be used to send messages no matter how remote the place was. It's a message from the sect. Seeing that we have broken through the chaotic star belt, they want to come and pick the fruits of our labor? Hu Yan's face turned cold. In the past 2 months, the news of their team breaking through the chaotic star belt had spread among the wanderers in the pale blue star region. Then, he asked Chuzé and Qiuhong to wait on the deck of the flying ship while he walked into the flying ship's cultivation cabin. Chuzé and Qiuhong looked at each other. While they were worried, their faces were a little ugly. The three of them came from the same immortal Dao sect. Qingxian sect. Qingxian sect was one of the top 10 immortal Dao sects in the pale blue star region. As the number 1 genius of the sect, Hu Yan should have enjoyed the best cultivation environment and resources in Qingxian sect. Now he had become a starry sky wanderer who walked the line between life and death all year round. The reason was simple. Hu Yan had been excluded. The Qingxian sect's disciple whose talent was second only to Hu Yan was the only son of the current sect master. At the same time, he was also the only descendant of Qingxian sect's old ancestor. The existence of this relationship made Hu Yan's position in the sect very awkward. This was because Hu Yan's dream had always been to become the next sect master of Qingxian sect. In the end, this wish was shattered, and the only son of the sect master was confirmed as the only candidate for the successor. Therefore, Hu Yan left Qingxian sect in anger, and took Chuzé and Qiuhong to explore the starry sky. Back then, the sect didn't care about brother Hu Yan's feelings, and now they took the initiative to send a message. How shameless! Qiuhong said disdainfully. Be careful with your words. Chuzé frowned. The flying ship's internal facilities were complete, including a control cabin, a cultivation cabin, and a hibernation cabin. At this time in the cultivation cabin, Hu Yan held the communication bead with a tense face. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to open the communication bead. After all, he was still a disciple of Qingxian sect. The sect master of Qingxian sect was his master. He scanned with his spiritual sense and the communication mark was activated. A phantom that looked exactly like a real person appeared in the cultivation cabin. It was actually a young man, but the vicissitudes in his eyes showed that he had lived for at least 1,000 years. This person was the sect master of Qingxian sect, Qingyi. Greetings, master. Hu Yan bowed expressionlessly. Why? Do you still have resentment against me? Qingyi smiled. I wouldn't dare. If you say you wouldn't dare, then you do. You haven't sent me a message for so many years. Your hard-hearted character hasn't changed at all. No matter how hard I am, I'm not as hard as master. Hu Yan couldn't hold back his resentment. Haha, my disciple knows me best. Qingyi laughed. Then he changed the topic and said seriously, Yenner, come back. I've already asked the old ancestor. As long as you come back, the position of the next sect master will be yours. Hu Yan was moved. To him, Qingxian sect was his home, and he had a special relationship with it. However, after 100 years of experience as a space hunter, he quickly cast aside the softness in his heart. He became expressionless again and said calmly, "You want me to hand over the harvest in the chaotic star belt to the sect?" "That's right. There's a big secret in the core area of the chaotic star belt that involves a lot of things. With your strength, it'll be a disaster in your hands. Disciple master won't harm you. This is for your own good." Qingyi nodded. "What big secret?" Hu Yan asked. Chapter 240. I don't know about this either. This is what the old ancestor told me. Wait a moment, the old ancestor will come over to discuss this with you in detail. Qing Ye's expression was extremely serious. Hu Yan was slightly stunned. Old ancestor. In the pale blue star region, old ancestor Qing Xian was a famous legendary cultivator. He was born ordinary, but he had made a name for himself in the pale blue star region, where the strong gathered. He had even killed a cultivator in the nascent soul realm with his late-stage nascent soul realm cultivation. The Qing Xian sect he founded eventually became one of the top 10 immortal sects in the pale blue star region. In Hu Yan's heart, old ancestor Qing Xian was his most admired role model. He had left the Qing Xian sect in a fit of anger because he wanted to imitate old ancestor Qing Xian's deeds. Now the old ancestor was going to meet him in person. Hu Yan immediately became excited. The Qing Xian sect had been established for 2,000 years, but the disciples who had really seen old ancestor Qing Xian could be counted on one hand. In just a moment, another perfected person's phantom appeared beside Qing Yi. It was a 15 or 16-year-old boy who looked younger than Qing Yi and Hu Yan. This person had an ordinary appearance, long red hair, deep eyes, wearing a blood-red spiritual weapon battle suit, and carrying a long saber on his back. Even through the communication bead, one could feel a strong murderous aura. He was old ancestor Qing Xian, known as the blood disciple in the pale blue star region. Disciple of the Qing Xian sect, Hu Yan, greets the old ancestor. Hu Yan directly knelt on the ground. "Get up." Old ancestor Qing Xian's voice gave people a feeling of falling into the netherworld. It was very cold. "Tell me in detail the process of you breaking through the chaotic star belt." Old ancestor Qing Xian's words were not to be refuted. "It took me 3 years." Hu Yan respectfully recounted the experience of how he broke through the chaotic star belt. In the end, he said, "In fact, when I was in the most dangerous area of the chaotic star belt, I almost died. In the end, I relied on luck to pass through and entered a desolate galaxy." "Did you find anything else?" Old ancestor Qing Xian asked. "I found a planet suspected to have a powerful civilization." "Then there's no mistake. The planet in the depths of the chaotic star belt must be the one that the Tao Alliance once looked for. The place where the 2 Tao integration powerhouses died." Old ancestor Qing Xian's words were shocking. The information he revealed shocked Hu Yan and Qing Yi. 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures died on that planet? Why had they never heard of it before? These are things that happened 10,000 years ago. You don't need to know the secrets within. Hu Yan. Old ancestor Qing Xian didn't reveal too much. He looked at Hu Yan and said, "Tell me about the situation of this planet." Hu Yan hurriedly recounted the information he had obtained through the astrolabe. Upon hearing this, Patriarch Qing Xian was visibly moved as well. He was even more certain that this was the planet that the Tao Alliance had been searching for. He had lived for thousands of years and knew many secrets. At this moment, the shock in his heart was much more than Hu Yan and Qing Yi. Qing Xian knew very well that if the outside world knew about this planet of life called Earth, it would definitely cause an uproar. "I thought it was just the place where 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures perished. I didn't expect it to have so many secrets. Dragon Python Black Tortoise Top Demon Bloodline. More than 10 grotto heavens in secret realms. If I, Qing Xian, obtain this planet, I might have a chance to attain Tao integration." Thinking of this, he asked in a deep voice, "Hu Yan, are you willing to hand over this planet to the sect?" "I am willing." Hu Yan did not hesitate. After knowing the true value of this planet, Hu Yan understood that this planet was no longer something that he could possess with his current strength. "Good. Now go and record the original data of this planet in detail with the astrolabe. I will wait for your good news," Qing Xian said. "Yes, master." Hu Yan left with a straight face. When he returned, he was full of smiles. This made Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that there was a good result. Let's go and descend on this planet. Hu Yan was filled with pride. Just now, old ancestor Qing Xian had personally promised him that when he returned, he would be the successor of the Qing Xian sect's sect leader. What he needed to do now was to use the astrolabe to collect the data, and then send it back to the Qing Xian sect. This was because according to the Tao Alliance's decree, if one wanted to apply to become the overlord of a savage planet, one must provide all the original data of the planet. The Tao Alliance only recognized the most original data. Even replicated data was not allowed. Under the scrutiny of the heavenly eye, no one could fake it. The flying ship silently passed through the Earth's atmosphere and stopped above the Pacific Ocean. Hu Yan ordered, "Go and capture those few golden core cultivators first. Those golden core cultivators will be sold to slave traders for a high price." Of course, compared to the value of this planet, the golden core cultivators were just a small amount of money. The main reason for doing this was to deal with the high-end power of this planet. After that, it would be much more convenient to collect the original data. This was the common method for discovering savage planets. Let's split up. Starting from the early golden core stage, I will deal with the dragon python and the black tortoise. Finally, we will capture the 3 strongest ones. The 3 of them split up and disappeared above the Pacific Ocean. On the other side of the ocean, Dark Shadow Nation, Grand Canyon of Kodo. The natural wonder of the old era had become a sacred place of the Dark Shadow Nation in the new era. This was because this was the place where the Dark Shadow Nation's guardian, Ramsey, lived in seclusion. Ramsey had reached the early Golden Core stage 3 months ago, and did not make it to the Holy Alliance's Battle of the Holy City. This made him very happy. Otherwise, he would be the same as those Golden Core cultivators who died in the Holy City. Although the Great Xia Nation is detestable, there are some ancient sayings that make sense. They once said that the path of cultivation is not about who is the most powerful, but who can live longer. I escaped the Holy City's massacre and reached the Golden Core stage. Therefore, I am the strongest cultivator of the 4 great nations aside from the Great Xia Nation. Ramsey faced the moonlight and sat cross-legged on a huge rock in the Grand Canyon of Kodo, cultivating in a very relaxed manner. Suddenly a cool breeze blew past. "Who is it?" Ramsey's expression changed greatly. He discovered that a strange youth wearing soft armor had appeared in front of him. This person looked very similar to the people of the Great Xia Nation. When did the Great Xia Nation have another Golden Core cultivator? Ramsey immediately became vigilant. The person who had come was Chu Zhe. After he saw Ramsey's cultivation, he sneered. "Your spiritual power is so heterogeneous. You can be considered a Golden Core cultivator? I'm afraid you're not even worth 10,000. Of course, he was speaking in the common language of the Taoist Alliance. Ramsey did not understand. Ramsey was at a loss for a moment, but he sensed hostility. He raised his hand and punched out. "Your attacks are too crude." Chu Zhe's face was full of mockery, but his attack was like thunder. A black rope flew out from his hand like lightning and tied Ramsey up. Ramsey fell unconscious and did not have any room to resist. "The goods cannot be damaged. Otherwise, the price will be lowered when we sell them." Chu Zhe shook his head. Chapter 241. E-Mountain Secret Realm in the Great Xia Kingdom. The existence of the dragon python made this place one of the most dangerous places in the Great Xia Kingdom. However, half a year ago, the dragon python and the black tortoise stood up for Jiang Xi and the other 2, which won the favor of the people of the Great Xia Kingdom. So in the past 6 months they got along quite well, and the pressure on the E-Army was reduced a lot. On this day, the E-Army found that in the E-Mountain Secret Realm, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and cold wind raged. Roar! Finally, there was a powerless roar. Feng Yu, the commander of the E-Army, felt that something was wrong and reported the situation to the higher-ups. No one noticed that only a few minutes later, many lakes on an island not far from the Zhonghai prefecture suddenly froze. A black tortoise fell into a coma and was tied up with a rope and taken away. Similar scenes appeared all over the earth. Over the Pacific Ocean. Inside the flying ship that was enveloped by a formation barrier. In less than an hour, all the Golden Core cultivators and demons on Earth, except for Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, were captured. Hu Yan and the other two were all at the late stage of the Golden Core realm and had rich combat experience. These Golden Core cultivators and demons on Earth were no match for them at all. Although the Dragon Python and the Black Tortoise's strength was comparable to the late stage of the Golden Core realm by virtue of their bloodline, their opponent was Hu Yan, whose combat strength was comparable to the nascent Soul realm. Facing Hu Yan, the two demons were completely defeated after a few moves. There are only 3 left, 1 for each of us. Hu Yan laughed. Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong also showed a relaxed and confident smile. The process of capture just now also made them really confirm that the natives of this planet were really vulnerable. Without any inheritance, their attack methods were very crude, and some even relied on brute force. Then the 3 set off again and flew in 3 directions in the Great Xia Kingdom. 2 moons hung in the sky. Zhang Xi was passing the assassination Dao inheritance from Daoist Ji's inherited memory to Zhang Daodu. The little girl had successfully visualized and condensed her spiritual sense. She had become a spirit accumulation cultivator and could start to officially cultivate when she really entered the sect. Even a late-stage spirit accumulation cultivator would be injured in the face of her assassination. "Brother, when are you going to bring me to travel to other planets?" After a day of classes, Jiang Dudu excitedly asked this question. Because Zhang Xi had told her that she had to reach the spirit nurturing stage before she could perform interstellar teleportation. "I'll bring you there after you've mastered the assassination inheritance." Zhang Xi took on the role of a parent and educated him in a remunerative manner. "You didn't keep your word." Jiang Dudu threw a tantrum. "Then I'll take you there tomorrow, yay." Although Jiang Dudu was almost an adult, she would still act like a child in front of Zhang Xi. Only in front of outsiders would he appear more mature. After returning home, Jiang Dudu continued to watch her horror movie, while Zhang Xi continued his training in the underground training room. In the past month or so, he had been concentrating on deducing his Dao technique, wanting to advance it to the next level. Between the Gale intent and the Sword intent, the latter was stronger. In terms of difficulty in deducing, the latter was naturally more difficult. Previously, he had deduced both Dao intents and deduced more than 1,000 times. After that, he wanted to focus on the easier one first. Hence, in the past month or so, he had been deducing the Gale intent. "I've deduced the Gale intent almost 1,000 times. If I don't break through." Zhang Xi shook his head. He really wanted to scold someone. Next, he deduced again according to the standard of 10 times a day. The result was still a failure. "Do I really have to deduce 1,000 times before I can succeed? Then I'll put in a lot of effort today and do 1,000 times. He carefully recalled and calculated. The total number of deductions for the Gale intent had already reached 910 times. Use the Gale intent to deduce once. Deduction failed. Use the Gale intent to deduce once. Deduction failed. He repeated this 89 times until the 90th time deduction failed. Zhang Xi's face was a little dark, but he understood that although the success rate of deduction was related to the completeness of the Dao technique, it also depended on luck. It didn't mean that if the Dao technique was complete, it could be deduced in one go. Let's take it slow. It was just like winning a lottery. This was also the reason why he had been deducing 10 times a day. After he was done with the Dao technique, Zhang Xi continued to comprehend Daoist Ji's inherited memories. His comprehension was not bad, and he had already grasped the basics of a few mystic techniques. This was also the only improvement he had made in the past month. With these mystic techniques, he had many more tricks up his sleeves and improved his strength. Buzz buzz, his tactical communications watch vibrated. He took a look and saw that it was a call from Huang Kuan. "It's so late." Although Zhang Xi was puzzled, he still hurriedly answered. "It must be something urgent." Huang Kuan's heavy voice came from the other side of the phone. "Zhang Xi, the higher-ups just received news from the Zhini army and several reclusive families. The Dragon Python seems to be in an abnormal situation. Several Golden Core cultivators of the reclusive families were also attacked and kidnapped. You be careful." Zhang Xi's expression changed. These were all Golden Core cultivators. Now on Earth, Zhang Xi was confident that no one except him and the Xian Tian could directly capture these people. Then who could it be? Was there an unknown powerhouse awakening? Suddenly, his heart throbbed. His sharp spirit sense told him that there was danger approaching. He immediately spread out his spirit sense. The next moment, Jiang Xi discovered that a young man wearing a spirit artifact battlesuit appeared in the sky above Tongtian District. Late-stage Golden Core. Starry Sky Hunter. Jiang Xi instantly recognized this person's identity because there were no spirit chi battlesuits on Earth. Moreover, he felt a strong threat from this person. At the same time, he also realized that the situation Huang Kuan mentioned just now was done by this person. Dao, come to the practice room. His first reaction was to ask Daodu to come down. Jiang Dudu's cultivation was already at the spirit nurturing stage. In just a second she arrived. The little girl's face was full of doubts. The first plan. Jiang Xi didn't talk nonsense. After returning from the blue planet out of caution, he had imagined all kinds of dangerous situations. Then he and Jiang Dudu agreed on an escape plan. Jiang Dudu's expression changed. She remembered what Jiang Xi said last time. The first plan was to escape using the teleportation array. The second plan was to escape using the teleportation array. But the second plan was to directly teleport to the first moon, and then through the interstellar teleportation array to other planets with life. She knew the seriousness of the matter and immediately stepped into the teleportation array in the practice room. Jiang Xi made a gesture to activate the teleportation array. Brother, you should hurry up too. Before Jiang Dudu disappeared, her eyes stared at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi nodded solemnly. When Jiang Dudu's figure disappeared, he understood that he couldn't escape. The starry sky hunter above was about to make a move. Chapter 242. In the sky above Tongtian District. He found me? Using the teleportation array to escape? Hu Yin was interested. He used his spiritual consciousness to investigate everything that was happening below. He wasn't being arrogant. He just wanted to see how this golden core cultivator called Jiang Xi was different from the natives they caught just now. In the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, if they met a cultivator who knew teleportation arrays, they would usually treat them with respect. This was because teleportation arrays were very rare and required a lot of inheritance. There were very few cultivators who knew about teleportation arrays. I might be able to get the inheritance of teleportation arrays from him. Hu Yin was looking forward to it. When he saw Jiang Xi sending his family members away using the teleportation array, he made his move. Jiang Xi was his target. He couldn't let him escape. Whoosh! Hu Yin gently struck out with his palm. The temperature of the area immediately dropped. Mid-autumn had just passed, but snowflakes were floating and cold winds were howling. In the blink of an eye, the entire Tongtian district, with Villa number 92 as the center, turned into a world covered in frost. Everything became slow. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure soared into the sky, turned into a gust of wind, and flashed away in the air. The complete true intent of Dao? Hu Yin was surprised. What he used just now was the frost domain. The Dao domain was a Dao technique of a higher level than the true intent of Dao. He could have the combat power of a nascent soul cultivator with his late-stage golden core cultivation. The main reason was that he had already comprehended 40% of the frost domain. Even a nascent soul cultivator's speed would be affected in his domain. As for a golden core cultivator, just like the dragon python and black tortoise, their speed would be reduced to the point that they wouldn't even have the chance to resist. And now, this late-stage golden core cultivator called Riverward was actually able to fly at an extremely fast speed in the frost domain. Hu Yin saw the wind circling Jiang Xi's body. There are only 2 possibilities to get rid of the influence of the frost domain. His strength is far greater than mine, or he has comprehended the complete true intent of Dao. Obviously, he is the latter. Because his frost domain was not complete, he had only comprehended 40% of it. Its power was not at its strongest. Hu Yin knew that Jiang Xi was the #1 expert among the natives of this planet, but he didn't expect that Jiang Xi could actually reach such a height. This native was not ordinary. Being able to comprehend a complete true Dao insight in an environment like the wilderness, such natural talent and comprehension ability, is only a level lower than mine. Hu Yin laughed. This native could be sold for a high price. Then his figure flashed as he chased after Jiang Xi. This night was destined to be an eventful one. The martial artists in Skycut District looked at the strange weather in shock. Only their area was snowing. The rest of Pak Sun Province was normal. The higher-ups of the martial arts circle in Pak Sun Province knew what was going on. They had all noticed the two figures that had flashed across the sky just now. Did Jiang Xi encounter an enemy? Many people began to worry. Jiang Xi was now one of the three pillars of the Great Xia Kingdom, and nothing must happen to him. At the same time, about 500 kilometers away from Pak Sun Province, in the middle of a barren mountain, the teleportation formation that Jiang Xi had set up beforehand lit up. In the next moment, Zhang Daodu's figure appeared in the teleportation formation. Zhang Daodu clenched her fist as she stared at the teleportation formation that had returned to normal. However, after a breath, the teleportation formation remained still. Brother! Zhang Daodu's worry rose to the highest level. She flew to the top of the barren mountain and looked towards the east. With her current strength, she could feel that there were two powerful auras approaching the East Sea at an extremely fast speed. One of them was Jiang Xi. Find brother Xiantian and sister Bai Bai. Zhang Daodu quickly sent a message. Only these two people could help Jiang Xi now. She had followed Jiang Xi before and met Xiantian and Li Bai Bai. She knew the relationship between the three of them. Fighting. Fighting. Two similar messages were sent back. Zhang Daodu's expression changed. Brother Xiantian and sister Bai Bai have encountered an enemy too? It was indeed as she thought. At the same time, a huge battle broke out in Xiantian City, Luo City Prefecture, and the nearby wilderness area. Jiang Xi flew at an extremely fast speed until he reached the sky above the East Sea. When the interstellar wanderer attacked, he knew that a huge battle was unavoidable. A late-stage golden core cultivator with a path domain. Under the path domain, he did not even have the chance to activate the teleportation formation. He could only fight. However, the battle could not be carried out in Pak Sun Province. The aftermath of the battle between two late-stage golden core cultivators could turn the entire Pak Sun Province into ruins. That was why he came to the sky above the East Sea, which was far away from the land of the Great Xia Kingdom. Brother and sister Bai Bai are also fighting. There is more than one interstellar wanderer. Jiang Xi's face darkened. He sent a message to Xiantian and Li Bai Bai, but all he received was fighting. Interstellar wanderers were usually in small teams. Only the powerful ones would travel alone. This person's path domain is not complete. I still have a chance. Since it is unavoidable, then let's fight. Jiang Xi felt that his fighting spirit was starting to boil. He had two complete true meaning of Tao, so he might not be weaker than the interstellar wanderer. Behind him, Hu Yan had already caught up. Hu Yan was very surprised because Jiang Xi's speed was beyond his imagination. The true meaning of Tao related to the wind is indeed powerful. Fortunately, I have the frost domain which can limit the speed. Hu Yan was very confident. The two of them faced each other in the sky above the East Sea. You are qualified to know my name. Remember, my name is Hu Yan. Hu Yan was the first to speak. He used a very stiff Great Xia language, which they had learned when they hacked into Earth's network. How did you discover Earth? Jiang Xi asked in a deep voice. This was an important question. You're just a native. You don't need to know. Be smart and let yourself be captured. Save yourself the trouble. Hu Yan grinned. Although he was confident that he could defeat Jiang Xi, it would definitely take some effort. He might even injure Jiang Xi if the goods were injured. He would have to spend money to heal them. What nonsense are you thinking? Jiang Xi flipped his hand and took out the profound condensation sword from his storage ring. Spiritual artifact. Storage artifact. Hu Yan was stunned. He didn't understand the meaning of Jiang Xi's words, but Jiang Xi's action of flipping his hand and taking out the sword surprised him. This native actually had a spiritual artifact? After thinking about it, he understood that it must have been left behind by the previous civilization on this planet. Therefore, Hu Yan was even more expectant. After he dealt with Jiang Xi, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong dealt with the other two. They could begin to collect the original data of this planet. At that time, they could also dig up the things left behind by the previous civilization. You have guts. Hu Yan made his move. He directly took out the spiritual artifact rope used to tie people up and attack Jiang Xi like lightning. Crack! Jiang Xi raised his sword and displayed the complete true meaning of sword. The dense sword shadow condensed into a thin layer and covered the sword, emitting a powerful Dao rhyme. With just a sweep, the spiritual artifact rope was cut into two. Chapter 243. What? Hu Yan was shocked. The spirit binding rope that was effective against indigenous cultivators was actually cut in half by a sword. His spirit binding rope was a low-grade spirit artifact, and it was effective against indigenous cultivators. I told you. Are you dreaming? Jiang Xi sneered. He could feel Hu Yan's condescending attitude. Did he really think of him as an indigenous cultivator? Who was he looking down on? Hu Yan's expression was grave. He was going to be serious. His surprise was not only because of the broken spirit binding rope. It was also because of the sword intent that Jiang Xi had displayed just now. That was the pinnacle of Dao intent. It was also complete. This indigenous cultivator's strength had greatly exceeded his expectations, comprehending two complete Dao intents at the late-stage Golden Core realm. This kind of talent is not much different from mine. If he was born on another planet of the Dao Alliance, he could definitely easily join a powerful immortal Dao sect like the Zhongyun sect. Hu Yan knew that it was impossible to capture this indigenous cultivator in one piece. Frost domain. With a thought, an invisible Dao aura descended and immediately spread out. The temperature of this world plummeted, and frost and snow fell. In this domain, one's speed would be severely affected. However, Jiang Xi had already made his move a moment ago. Swoosh! The sword shadow was accompanied by a gust of wind, cutting open the frost domain and suddenly piercing towards Hu Yan. Before it even got close, its speed was restricted by the frost domain and reduced by a lot. This was different from the feeling in Tongtian district just now. Previously, he was at the edge of the domain, and now he was at the place where the frost domain was the strongest and he was affected the most. Under my frost domain, even an early-stage nascent soul cultivator's speed will be affected. Your struggle is futile. Hu Yan chuckled and with confidence he struck out a palm at the same time. The frost palm directly hit Jiang Xi's sword shadow. The collision produced a huge power that swept through heaven and earth. Boom! Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in this sea area, rolling up stormy waves. Those waves that were nearly 100 meters high were frozen in the air by the frost before they fell, forming an ice wonder. Very strong. If this goes on, I will definitely lose. I have to think of something. Jiang Xi felt the chill in the air, and his heart sank. With his two true intents of Dao, he was confident that he could fight against an early-stage nascent soul cultivator. But this Hu Yan before his eyes, his combat strength had clearly reached middle-stage nascent soul. He would definitely lose if the battle dragged on. Boom! In the frost domain, Hu Yan's strength was at its strongest. Tyrannical fist and palm prints attacked Jiang Xi. The frozen waves on the surface of the sea exploded under the pressure of this aura. Jiang Xi brandished his sword to meet the attack, relying on the speed of the gale to contend with it. At the same time he remained calm. His mind raced as he considered how to deal with the current situation. So we can only rely on luck? Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. He quickly went through the methods he currently possessed in his mind. In the end he realized that he still had to return to the EXP panel. The only method was to deduce. If he could deduce the next level of the Dao art, his strength would obtain a qualitative improvement. Jiang Xi didn't waste any time and immediately began to deduce. Use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction failed. Use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction failed. Compared to the true meaning of sword, the true meaning of gale was even easier to deduce. Jiang Xi retreated and dodged the attacks as he continued to deduce. Almost 10 times per second. Under the night sky above the East Sea, thunder rumbled and cold wind howled. The powerful aura's aftermath could be felt by the entire coastal area. Hu Yan relied on his crushing strength to control the rhythm of the battle very well. While suppressing Jiang Xi, he also ensured that he wouldn't kill Jiang Xi. If he killed him, it would be a pity. Such a genius, if captured and sold to slave merchants, would be worth at least 1 million low-grade spirit crystals, which was equivalent to a first-grade life planet. It's useless to resist. I won't kill you, and I'll even find you a good family. Hu Yan's frost domain had been suppressing Jiang Xi. If you don't know how to speak, then don't speak. Jiang Xi was furious when he heard this. He waved his hand and slashed out a large sword light. I'm trying to persuade you. Don't regret it. Hu Yan laughed. Jiang Xi ignored him and used the true meaning of gale and true meaning of sword to the extreme. If he didn't have two complete true meaning of Dao, he would have been defeated long ago. Use the true meaning of gale to deduce once. Deduction successful. You have comprehended the gale domain. Experience points plus 1 million. Jiang Xi was stunned. This time he had only deduced less than 100 times, and he had already succeeded? Boom! A huge palm formed by frost and snowflakes approached. Jiang Xi didn't have time to react. He subconsciously raised his sword. Whoosh! Suddenly a gale swept across the sky like a ghost's howl. The snowflakes and frost that filled the sky instantly dissipated. Gale domain. What? Hu Yan's face was full of shock. Domain power. This native had actually broken through right in front of him. What kind of terrifying talent was this? This person can't be left alive. Even if he's captured as a slave, he might still be able to cultivate to the primordial soul stage and break through the slave's spiritual consciousness restriction. Hu Yan's killing intent rose. There was a principle in the slave trade that they couldn't capture cultivators with outstanding talent as slaves. Once a slave reached the primordial soul stage, they would have the ability to break through the spiritual consciousness restriction. After a slave broke free from his master's control, it was not uncommon to kill his master and the starry sky hunters who captured him. Previously, when Jiang Xi's talent was weaker than his, he wasn't worried about this. But now Jiang Xi's talent was obviously more powerful than his. Eliminating the threat was more important than exchanging it for money. Kill. Hu Yan's frost domain suddenly shrank 100 times. The ice and frost only circled within a 10-meter radius around him. At the same time, a layer of frost armor condensed on his body, shining brightly under the moonlight. You're very lucky to be able to see my strongest state. Hu Yan's figure flashed, and he fiercely threw a punch at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi didn't have time to feel the gale domain that he had just obtained. He could only rely on the relevant comprehension in his mind to defend. Gale shield. Bang! Jiang Xi was directly sent flying by the punch. His body flew back tens of thousands of meters uncontrollably. The intense pain all over his body and the bone-chilling cold transmitted into Jiang Xi's brain nerves. Although it was painful, it made his mind extremely clear and calm. The power of his domain has increased by at least 10 times. Compared to his domain, my domain is much weaker. Fortunately, I had the beast skin of a nascent soul stage demon to help me defend. Otherwise, I would have been dead by now. The clothes on Jiang Xi's body had been damaged under the extreme cold of the frost domain. What was exposed now was the vest and pants that were simply cut from the beast skin of a nascent soul stage demon. Eat the spiritual fruit to increase the experience of the gale domain. With a calm mind, Jiang Xi reacted quickly and made a decision in an instant. Chapter 244. At the same time, Hu Yan was even more shocked. His move just now was his strongest move. It could definitely kill a late-stage golden core in an instant. Even an early-stage nascent soul would be injured. That's the skin of a late-stage nascent soul great demon. He saw the beast skin on Jiang Xi's body clearly. No wonder. Even the skin of a late-stage nascent soul great demon can't offset all of my attack power. With a few more punches, I'll shock you to death. Hu Yan was still very confident. His entire body was covered in frost armor. He was like a god of war under the moon. With a thought, he was about to catch up with Jiang Xi again. At this moment, he saw Jiang Xi take out a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit and eat it. His body began to expand. Do you want to be a full ghost? The spiritual energy of the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit can directly explode you. Hu Yan sneered. In the next moment, his smile froze. After Jiang Xi's body expanded several times like a balloon, it returned to normal in less than a breath. At the same time, the gale domain around Jiang Xi's body was obviously strengthened. How is that possible? Hu Yan was dumbfounded. Eating fruits could make one stronger. He had never seen it before. At this time, Jiang Xi ate another 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. Increase 50,000 Gale Domain Experience Points. Increase 50,000 Gale Domain Experience Points. In just 1 second, he increased it 5 times before he completely digested all of the spiritual energy. His entire body was dripping with blood. His skin, blood vessels, muscles, bones, and even his internal organs were all torn to varying degrees. The spiritual energy contained in the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit was indeed not what he could withstand at this stage. If not for the experience points panel digesting it in time, he would definitely explode. This kind of dangerous increase in exchange for a huge gain. Gale Domain 500,000/5 million. A 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit could provide 250,000 points of spiritual energy. Just 2 fruits allowed the comprehension of the Gale Domain to reach 10%. Not enough. Continue to increase. Continue to eat. His current domain power was still far from Hu Yan's. Previously, he had brought back 110,000-year-old spiritual fruits from the pale blue planet. I can't let him eat anymore. A bad feeling rose in Hu Yan's heart as he unleashed his frost domain to the extreme. Under the extreme cold, the rolling waves below instantly condensed into ice spears. Spears rained down on Jiang Xi. Die. At this moment, Jiang Xi had finished digesting the third 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit, Gale. The wind was like a shield, and the power of the domain was like a shield, blocking most of the power of the ice spear. The remaining power was neutralized by the nascent soul stage Great Demonic Beast Skin. With 2 layers of protection, Jiang Xi could already barely block Hu Yan's attack. Hu Yan was overwhelmed with shock in his heart. Too terrifying. In the short span of a dozen breaths, a native that he had crushed had almost caught up to him in strength. What Jiang Xi had shown was already beyond the early nascent soul stage. Whoosh! He turned into a cold shadow and suddenly arrived in front of Jiang Xi. The fist covered by the frost battle armor smashed onto Jiang Xi's body. Boom! This time Jiang Xi was only sent flying nearly 1,000 meters and forcefully withstood it. At this time, he had just finished digesting the fourth 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit. 20% Gale Domain. Impossible. Impossible. No matter how calm and composed Hu Yan was, his heart was also somewhat in a mess. Jiang Xi's speed of improvement made him doubt life. This kind of improvement was simply impossible. Never seen before, never heard of before. Boom. 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 The frost fist seals that constantly blasted out emitted a dazzling brilliance under the moonlight, causing people to be alarmed. But they were all blocked by Jiang Xi's Gale Domain, and it was getting easier and easier. 5th fruit. 6th fruit. Whoosh! On the profound condensation sword body, the sword True Intent condensed into a sword Shadow Dao rune. Wrapped in the Gale Domain, it emitted a shocking power. Jiang Xi swung out a sword and directly scattered Hu Yan's fist seal. This is impossible. What kind of monster is this? Inheritance. He must have obtained the inheritance left behind by a civilization on this planet. Hu Yan's breathing became hurried. He found it hard to believe. In just a few short minutes, this native went from being chased by him to barely blocking his attack, and now easily defeating his attack. He had completed a shocking improvement. Hu Yan's intuition told him that this would be the greatest danger he had encountered in his life as a hunter. If he was not careful, he would be buried on this native planet. Kill. Hu Yan's expression was grave as he tried his best to stabilize his somewhat flustered mind. In an instant he blasted out hundreds of punches. The power of the frost domain caused this part of the sea to directly condense into ice. Haha, good timing. Jiang Xi's body was covered in blood. Although he looked extremely miserable, his eyes were very bright. He had already completely sorted out the situation in his body. The chaotic spirit energy had returned to normal. The newly obtained Gale Domain directly spread out. Within the domain, his speed had a qualitative leap. His entire body seemed to be flashing erratic. Ordinary people's eyesight would not be able to capture his figure. Whoosh! The sword shadow was like a curtain. When the Gale Domain counteracted the opponent's frost domain. At this time the sword intent revealed its powerful might. In just an instant it dissolved the fist seals that filled the sky. In terms of attack, saber, sword, and other types of Dao intents were the best. Begin counterattack. Jiang Xi's figure flashed and flickered within the Gale domain. With the support of the domain power, he suddenly appeared in front of Hu Yan. Too fast. Hu Yan was greatly shocked. After he blasted out hundreds of punches, he did not have time to use his next move. Jiang Xi's current speed was the fastest among all the opponents he had encountered. Chi-chi. The sword shadow pierced through space and instantly pierced dozens of holes in Hu Yan's body through the frost armor and spirit armor. The sword intent and the Gale domain power wreaked havoc in Hu Yan's body. Hu Yan's spirit energy immediately went out of control and lost his combat strength. The Gale domain dissipated, leaving only the whistling wind in this world. It's over. Hu Yan had wanted to condense another frost attack, but Jiang Xi's speed was too fast and he could not react in time. As his spirit energy dissipated, a final despair rose in his heart. He had no combat strength now, and Jiang Xi only needed one sword to sever his lifeline. Farewell, Azure Mystic Sect. Hu Yan closed his eyes, his heart filled with bitterness. His body fell uncontrollably onto the surface of the sea that had turned into ice. To be able to comprehend 40% of the Dao domain at the late-stage Golden Core realm, even in the 3 gates and 6 sects of the Dao Alliance, you are a top genius. At this time, Jiang Xi's voice rang in his ears. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Cripple. Hu Yan wanted to die with more dignity. However, he suddenly froze and was at a loss. Because Jiang Xi's words were not in the Great Xia language, but the very authentic common language of the Dao Alliance. How could it be? Wasn't Jiang Xi a native? Moreover, from Jiang Xi's words, this native even knew the core 9 immortal sects of the Dao Alliance, the 3 gates and 6 sects. You are not a native. Who are you? Hu Yan did not want to die without knowing why, so he asked. Who am I? A native of the Great Xia on Earth. Jiang Xi grinned. His face was covered in blood from the rapid improvement just now, making his smile look very sinister like a demon. Impossible. Hu Yan was furious and humiliated. He was about to die, but this person was still teasing him. Hey, if you don't believe me, then forget it. Jiang Xi defeated his opponent and felt relaxed. Then, he struck Hu Yan's head with his palm. Chapter 245. Hu Yan woke up and was at a loss. He should be dead, right? But how could he still have consciousness? Could it be that the legendary underworld really exists? When he was young, he had heard his master say that in ancient times, there was a mysterious underworld in the universe. After any living being died, their soul would return to the underworld and undergo reincarnation to start the next life. Hu Yan sighed in his heart. Forget it, forget it. The next life is also good. This time he died too sullenly. You're awake? Come eat this. A familiar voice sounded in Hu Yan's ears. Damn it. It's that native. I'm already dead, but he still won't let me go. But just as this thought appeared, he had a strong favorable impression of this voice. He felt that this voice was very pleasant to the ears, like the sound of an immortal in the mortal world. In the next moment, Hu Yan understood why. He felt somewhat helpless in his heart, but he didn't have any thoughts of resistance. He was under a spiritual sense restriction by Jiang Xi. Greetings, Master. This sea region seemed to have become the north and south poles, forming a thick layer of ice. Hu Yan got up from the ice layer and bowed respectfully to Jiang Xi. At the same time, he was very surprised, because after a spiritual sense restriction was placed on a slave, they would more or less have resistance and hatred in the depths of their hearts. But in his current state, he only had a favorable impression of Jiang Xi. There was no hatred, anger, unwillingness, or any other negative emotions. Master's spiritual sense restriction is very profound. It seems to be directly used on the soul. It's different from the spiritual sense restriction used by those slave merchants. Hu Yan was even more curious. What was the origin of his master? Not only did his master know the Dao Alliance's 3 sects and 6 sects, but he also knew the most authentic common language of the Dao Alliance. He also knew a few formations and profound spiritual sense restrictions. While Hu Yan was sighing in his heart, Jiang Xi smiled and said again, "Eat this and treat your injuries." He handed over a 1,000-year spiritual fruit. "Thank you, Master." Hu Yan was very respectful. He felt a lot more relieved. His master could give him 1,000-year spiritual fruit to heal his injuries, indicating that this was a kind-hearted master. Unlike in the universe, many cultivators who bought slaves back would abuse them in every way possible. No need to call me master. Just call me Lord in the future. Yes, Lord Jiangxi. Hu Yan ate the 1,000-year spiritual fruit and began to refine it to recover from his injuries. Jiangxi, I took this opportunity to ask with a smile, are you still wondering about my origins? Hu Yan hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I'm not lying to you. I'm a native of this planet, but my master is from the starry sky. You should understand now. Jiangxi did not hide this fact. He had already placed a spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan, so he didn't have to worry that Hu Yan would leak it out. My lord is indeed powerful. Among all the cultivators I've seen, you're the most talented one. You're not bad either. I don't dare to be mentioned in the same breath as Sir. Jiangxi smiled and did not continue this one-sided flattery. In the beginning he planned on killing Hu Yan. However, when Hu Yan lost his ability to fight, he felt that it would be a pity to kill him. Because Hu Yan's talent and comprehension ability were indeed top-notch. He had gained insights into a Dao domain at the late-stage Golden Core realm. Furthermore, his insights had reached 40%. This kind of talent was even stronger than that Songyun Sect genius Feng Si that he saw on planet Kanglan the last time. It could be said that as long as there were no mistakes in the future, Hu Yan could easily break through to the Essence Soul realm. Then Jiangxi thought of those mystic arts and strange techniques that he had cultivated in the past month or so. He had mastered two, the soul-searching technique and the spiritual sense restriction. Among them, the soul-searching technique was against heaven and earth. After having one's soul searched, even if one did not die, they would become a fool. Therefore, he tested the spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan. He did not expect that he would succeed on his first try. This spiritual sense restriction was a little thing that Daoist Gu meticulously designed after reaching peak Dao integration. Daoist Gu was an array formation expert. The array formation restriction that he designed, even if one's cultivation reached Dao integration, they would not be able to undo it. Therefore, Jiangxi was not worried about Hu Yan's problems after cultivating his essence soul. Of course, even if there were problems, so what? He had the experience points panel. When Hu Yan cultivated to the essence soul realm, who knew what heights he would soar to? The inheritance left behind by master is indeed magical. Jiangxi sighed again and bowed 3 times in the direction of the first moon. After dealing with his opponent, he was no longer in a hurry. This was because Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already sent a message that both of them had successfully captured their opponents. The crisis was completely resolved. At the same time, Jiangxi also reported his safety to Zhang Daodu at the first moment and asked the little girl to go home first. After a while, Hu Yan completely refined the spiritual fruit and his injuries recovered a little. The holes in his body were covered by flesh and blood again. Although his aura was still weak, he did not look so scary anymore. Where are the cultivators and great demons that you captured? Jiangxi asked. Lord Jiangxi, please follow me. Hu Yan led the way in front and flew towards the depths of the Pacific Ocean. On the way, Hu Yan could not help but ask, Lord Jiangxi, what about my 2 companions? Them? Just like you, they were captured by my big brother and second sister. Jiangxi said with a smile, Lord, please spare their lives. They were also obeying my orders. Hu Yan pleaded for his companions. Don't worry, I have my own plans. Jiangxi nodded. He was quite satisfied with Hu Yan's temperament. He was not like those bloodthirsty starry sky hunters. Hu Yan heaved a sigh of relief. Soon the 2 of them arrived above the Pacific Ocean. The flying boat was still there. Formation barrier? Jiangxi smiled. There seemed to be nothing in front of him, but he had studied formations and noticed the difference. Lord is indeed amazing. Hu Yan praised. Stop flattering me. Hurry up and open it. Jiangxi scolded with a smile. With his current attainments in formations, he could not forcefully open the formation barrier here because his current research was mainly on teleportation formations, not other functional formations. Hu Yan hurriedly formed hand seals. Immediately, spirit chi surged and the barrier opened. A beautiful flying boat appeared out of thin air. Middle-grade spirit artifact flying boat, not bad. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. Thank you for your praise, Lord. I spent all my savings to buy this flying boat before I became a starry sky hunter. The maximum speed of travel can reach 200,000 kilometers per second, Hu Yan replied. Jiang Xi was very satisfied. Now Hu Yan's was his. The two of them entered the dormant cabin of the flying boat first. The captured golden core cultivators were locked in individual dormant cabins and were in a comatose state. The dragon python and black tortoise were too big and were not here. Jiang Xi glanced around. There were a total of 8 people. 2 of them were middle-stage golden core, and the rest were early-stage golden core. According to their origins, there was 1 each from the Dark Shadow Kingdom, Peacock Kingdom and Holy Union. The other 5 were golden core cultivators who had awakened from the hidden families of Wuxia Kingdom. The hidden families indeed had a deep foundation. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He was thinking about how to deal with these people. Kill them? Or how? Chapter 246. Sir, do you want to kill all 3 foreign cultivators? Hu Yan saw Jiang Xi's expressionless face and thought that Jiang Xi wanted to kill them. He had read the information on the Earth satellite network before and knew the subtle relationship between the Great Xia Kingdom and other countries. No need. Take them to a nearby island. Jiang Xi shook his head and chuckled. After pondering for a while, he now somewhat understood why Xian Tian had let go of those foreign spirit cultivators in the Jade Pool's secret realm. The reason he did this was to find a few opponents for the Great Xia Kingdom to have a sense of presence. It was because of the existence of these foreign cultivators that the warriors in the martial arts world of the Great Xia Kingdom would not slack off. Just like the relationship between monsters and humans on Earth, if it were not for monsters surrounding them, human warriors would not have improved so quickly. Crisis would make people burst out with a strong motivation. In just a moment, Jiang Xi found a beautiful small island. He threw the 8 golden core cultivators who were sleeping on the beach and asked Hu Yan to remove their sleeping restriction. Jiang Xi. When the people woke up and saw the scene in front of them and Jiang Xi's figure, their faces changed drastically. They subconsciously believed that the previous arrest was done by Jiang Xi's men, because the strange man standing behind Jiang Xi was dressed very similar to the person who captured them. The strange man seemed to be very respectful to Jiang Xi. They wanted to ask Jiang Xi the reason for all this, but they were worried that it would make Jiang Xi unhappy. They were all uneasy. One of the middle-stage golden core cultivators from the reclusive Qin family, who was the Qin family's patriarch, finally mustered up the courage to ask, Jiang Xi, what do you want to do? Looking at the uneasy looks of these golden core cultivators, Jiang Xi felt that it was very funny. However, this was also a very good opportunity to remind everyone of this. Jiang Xi coughed and chuckled. It's nothing. I just want to conduct a drill for the invasion of foreign enemies. Unfortunately, your adaptability is too poor. Drill. Their expressions eased a lot. Old Ancestor Qin smiled bitterly. Jiang Xi, you didn't say anything and suddenly did such a thing. You really scared us. Alas, but this exercise is a good warning. We old guys have been living too comfortably. If we really encounter danger, we'll be in big trouble. The ancestor of the reclusive Shu Jia also sighed. The others also nodded in agreement. Only the 3 foreign golden core cultivators dared not speak with a gloomy face. They could not understand. Why would Jiang Xi be so kind? Would they come to warn the cultivators outside the Great Xia Kingdom? Of course, there were also people who were curious about the background of the person who had just captured them. Jiang Xi knew what these people were thinking. These 8 people were captured by Hu Yan's 2 companions. However, he did not intend to explain Hu Yan's origin, and it was not easy to explain. According to Jiang Xi's idea, it was enough to keep these people in a state of anxiety. This was because the unknown would give them a huge sense of danger, which would prompt them to improve. And he was standing behind this unknown staring at these people. Only when everyone became stronger would Earth become stronger. As for the situation outside Earth, he did not intend to announce it for the time being. First, he was afraid of trouble. Second, he was worried that these people would cause trouble if they knew about the situation outside Earth. This would expose him a lot of things. Who knew if there were more powerful old guys in these reclusive families who were sleeping? Unlike Xian Tian and Li Baibai, Both of them were ordinary people and did not have to worry about these messy things. That was why he used such a lame lie as a drill to deceive everyone. It turned out that the more powerful a person was, the more likely they were to be convinced by the lies they told. These 8 people believed Jiang Xi's words without a doubt. Well, this drill is over. Everyone go back to your homes. Jiang Xi clapped his hands and made a gesture to call it a day. From the beginning to the end, Hu Yan had been standing behind Jiang Xi and did not say a word. The 8 people did not hesitate and quickly flew away from the island. Then they were divided into 2 groups. The 5 golden core cultivators of the reclusive families stopped in a wilderness area by the coast. The youngest Qin, did you see the origin of the strange man beside Jiang Xi? The patriarch of the Shujia frowned and asked, No, that man has never appeared before. It was as if he appeared out of thin air. The man who caught me was the same. His cultivation was at the late stage of the golden core realm. He subdued me with just a few moves. He was terrifyingly strong. The patriarch of the Qin family shook his head. The one who caught you was a man? Then why was the one who caught me a woman? Were you also caught by a woman? Me too. The other 3 patriarchs of the reclusive families looked at each other and were stunned. Was Jiang Xi driving an unknown reclusive force? Otherwise, how could 3 powerful late-stage golden core realm cultivators appear at once? I've heard that some ancient orthodoxies on Earth are not extinct. They're just hidden in places that we don't know about. Could Jiang Xi be from there? The patriarch of the Shujia said with a horrified expression. It's very likely. Otherwise, how could Jiang Xi improve so quickly? Think about it, he's only been cultivating for a few years. Hiss. As soon as this speculation came out, everyone gasped in shock. They finally made a decision. When they returned, they would warn their juniors not to provoke Jiang Xi. Then they would have to work hard to cultivate. Otherwise, if they were ambushed one day, they would really be gone. The 3 foreign cultivators flew to the other side of the ocean and gathered together. They had more guesses and worries than the patriarchs of the reclusive families. The 3 of them came from the Dark Shadow Kingdom, the Peacock Kingdom, and the Holy Alliance. They were the only pillars of their respective countries. Once they fell, the sky would really fall. The 3 of us must establish an offensive and defensive alliance. Set a national policy. At least for 100 years, don't provoke the Great Xia Kingdom, and don't provoke Jiang Xi. In a valley in the E-Mountain Secret Realm. This valley was the place where the dragon python usually lived. At this time, a giant bird of the spirit gathering stage was anxiously guarding here. This was the child of the dragon python. During the beast tide in the E-Mountain Secret Realm, it was taught a lesson by Jiang Xi. Roar! The giant bird saw 2 huge figures flying in from the outside. It was the dragon python and the black tortoise. Roar! It quickly went to greet them with a surprised roar. When the 2 golden core stage demons saw the giant bird, their mood was very complicated. Alas, Uncle Black, this is really embarrassing. The dragon python smiled bitterly. Don't say any more. Little dragon, cultivate well. Now you know that there's always someone better than you. The black tortoise sighed. Thinking of what Jiang Xi said to them on the island just now, the 2 demons were very shocked. The 2 demons had a plan in their hearts. They were now the only 2 golden core stage demons of the demon race on Earth. They had the responsibility to be the guardians of the demon race. Therefore, they were going to take the time to hold a gathering of demons and gather all the demons of the spirit gathering stage. Then they would announce 2 things. Don't provoke humans and don't provoke Jiang Xi. As for those monsters below the spirit gathering stage, they were not demons and were not under their jurisdiction. Chapter 247. In the distant pale blue star region in a flourishing galaxy. This was the headquarters of Qing Xian sect, one of the top 10 immortal sects in the Kanglan star region. Old ancestor Qing Xian was not in the Qing Xian sect. He had left the sect 1,000 years ago to explore the world. The current sect master, Qing Yi, was currently communicating with old ancestor Qing Xian through the communication pearl. Both of them were waiting for good news from the distant starry skies. With this opportunity, I will have a chance to reach the Dao integration stage. Even though old ancestor Qing Xian had experienced countless life and death battles and had a heart as firm as steel, He still couldn't hide his excitement. Although he was only at the late stage of the nascent soul stage, there was a record of him killing nascent soul stage cultivators 1,000 years ago. In fact, with his talent and strength, he could have cultivated the primordial spirit long ago. The reason why he had been suppressing his cultivation all this while was because he had not achieved a breakthrough yet. The reason was very simple. It was because he was cultivating a profound cultivation technique. If he could successfully cultivate this technique, he would have the combat power of a Tao integration stage cultivator when he attained the primordial spirit stage. However, having the combat power of a Tao integration stage cultivator and being a true Tao integration stage cultivator were two different things. Tao integration stage cultivators stood at the pinnacle of all cultivators and were powerful beings who could traverse the universe. Therefore, old ancestor Qing Xian's desire for Earth was extremely strong. This is the opportunity for the Qing Xian sect to soar. Qing Yi, the head of the Qing Xian sect, was also filled with ambition. It was different from old ancestor Qing Xian's goal of seeking to reach the peak. Qing Yi really wanted to bring the Qing Xian sect to the same height as the Zongyun sect, to be able to rule over a star region. However, there was still a question in his heart. The patriarch had never entered the depths of the chaotic star belt, so how did he know about the situation there? After thinking for a while, he asked this question. Qing Ye's sudden question did not make old ancestor Qing Xian unhappy. This was because Qing Yi was the most promising descendant of old ancestor Qing Xian. Old ancestor Qing Xian smiled and said, I guess. This answer was out of Qing Ye's expectations. Speaking of which, this matter is related to the Purple Heaven sect. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued to explain. The Violet Heaven sect of the Three Gates and Six Sects of the Tao Alliance. Even Qing Yi, who had lived for 1,000 years, exclaimed when he heard this. Each of the Tao Alliance's 9 stellar domains was governed by a supreme immortal Tao sect, the 3 schools and 6 sects. The Zixiao region they were in now belonged to the Zixiao sect. Old ancestor Qing Xian nodded with a smile. That's right. 10,000 years ago, Daoist Gu, the Tao integration expert of the Purple Heaven sect, and Yin Tiansheng, the Tao integration expert of the Ghost clan, fought fiercely in the Purple Heaven region, destroying countless planets. In the end, the two of them mysteriously disappeared. No one knows where they went. Tao integration stage. Qing Ye's face was filled with shock. That earth-shattering battle had happened too long ago. Even he, a late nascent soul stage cultivator who had lived for thousands of years, had only heard very little information about it. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued, I once heard that in order to find Daoist Gu, the Purple Heaven sect went to visit an almighty who was good at divination and deduction. They obtained a clue that Daoist Gu and Yin Tiansheng would fall on a planet in the depths of the chaotic star belt. Then, the Purple Heaven sect sent out experts to search the entire chaotic star belt, but they found nothing. It wasn't until 6,000 years ago that the Purple Heaven sect announced that Daoist Ji's life tablet was broken that they stopped searching. This matter was also forgotten with the passage of time. Hearing this, Qing Yi asked, then why can old ancestor be sure that the planet that Hu Yan and the others found is the one that the Purple Heaven sect is looking for? It's very simple. Regardless of whether the Purple Heaven sect found that planet or not, it's in the depths of the chaotic star belt. It was located in the depths of the chaotic star belt, and it hid so many secrets. These 2 points are enough to conclude that it's the place where Daoist Gu and Yin Tiansheng died. Old ancestor Qing Xian's eyes were suffused with a bloody light. This kind of reasoning didn't need to be completely confirmed at all. It only needed a 50% or even 30% probability to give a definite answer. Moreover, even if the reasoning was wrong, the hidden value of that planet was immeasurable. Qing Yi let out a long breath. The shock in his heart couldn't be calmed down for a long time. If old ancestor Qing Xian didn't mention this secret, he wouldn't have known at all. Many things had been buried in the long river of time for tens of thousands of years. At this time, old ancestor Qing Xian smiled again and said, 2 hours have passed. With Hu Yan and the others' speed, the collection is almost finished. Contact them now. Qing Ye's eyes were filled with excitement as he used the communication bead to contact Hu Yan. No answer. He contacted again but still no answer. Could it be that they were still collecting the original data of that planet? What's going on? Old ancestor Qing Xian frowned. No answer. Wait a little longer. After waiting for another hour, Qing Yi contacted again but still no answer. 10 hours later there was still no movement. Qing Ye's expression became more and more unsightly. Hu Yan had told him before that the highest combat power on that planet was only the late-stage Gold Core realm. With Hu Yan's mid-stage nascent Soul realm combat power, it was enough to crush everything. It should have been settled long ago, right? Look at their life tablets. The bloody light in old ancestor Qing Xian's eyes pulsed faintly. Qing Yi nodded. That planet hid many secrets and definitely had many dangers. Perhaps Hu Yan and the others had encountered some danger. His spiritual sense immediately spread out and saw the life tablets of the 3 people at the place where the sect's life tablets were stored. They were intact. That meant that Hu Yan and the others' lives were not in danger. Then what had happened? Hu Yan has always been dissatisfied with me. Could it be that he changed his mind at the last minute and didn't want to hand over that planet to the sect? Qing Ye's face sank. Then, he shook his head and denied this inference. If Hu Yan wanted to change his mind, he wouldn't have told them the detailed process of passing through the chaotic star belt. Wait a little longer. Old ancestor Qing Xian was expressionless. No one knew what he was thinking. The 2 of them waited for another day, but they still couldn't get in touch. In such a situation there was no need to guess. They knew that something must have happened. Maybe Hu Yan changed his mind at the last minute, or maybe Hu Yan was in danger. Set off now and enter the core area of the chaotic star belt according to Hu Yan's path. See if you can follow the place where he passed through and enter. Old ancestor Qing Xian's voice was low. There was a bloody light in his eyes and a murderous aura. No matter which possibility it was, he was determined to get that planet. Qing Yi nodded. After ending the communication with old ancestor Qing Xian, he immediately rushed to the interstellar teleportation array in the sect. He wanted to teleport to the blue planet first, then use the flying ship to go to the chaotic star belt. Blue planet was the closest to the chaotic star belt. At the same time, in the Zixiao region, an uninhabited planet with a gravity that was 1,000 times stronger. Old ancestor Qing Xian, who lived in seclusion, had eyes that emitted a terrifying bloody light that shot straight into the sky. I must get such an opportunity. Unfortunately, the blood chi spirit fruit here is not ripe yet. I can't leave. Otherwise, I could personally go to the chaotic star belt. Chapter 248. The Crisis of the Interstellar Hunters on Earth this time. It came abruptly and ended abruptly. From the beginning to the end of the crisis, it actually lasted less than 2 hours. Jiang Xi sent away those golden core cultivators and big demons, then took Hu Yan to Xiantian City. He saw the other 2 captured interstellar hunters, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong. The 2 of them looked very miserable because they picked the wrong opponent to fight. Chu Zhe had just comprehended a Dao true meaning, but his opponent Xiantian had already comprehended a Dao true meaning a long time ago, and it was the top Dao true meaning. Therefore, he was directly beaten up by Xiantian and became a whetstone. Qiu Hong's experience was similar. A dignified late-stage golden core cultivator couldn't withstand Li Baibai's fast sword at all. Under Li Baibai's 8-element swordsmanship, hundreds of bloody holes appeared on this interstellar hunter's body in an instant, and he was almost stabbed to death. Jiang Xi looked at the miserable state of the 2 and couldn't bear it, so he put the same spiritual sense restriction on them. So, there were 2 more people who called him Lord. Xiantian and Li Baibai were already used to Jiang Xi's occasional mysterious actions. They didn't ask much because they knew that it was most likely from the Jade Lake secret realm again. However, they still had to be shocked. Jiang Xi, this kid, got 3 late-stage golden core subordinates without saying a word, which made them very envious. Then Jiang Xi, Xiantian, and Li Baibai made some arrangements for the possible follow-up effects of the interstellar hunters' invasion. For example, Jiang Xi asked the 2 of them not to disclose the previous battle with the interstellar hunters. In this way, the captured golden core cultivators wouldn't be suspicious of the maneuver, so they could continue to maintain a sense of mystery. Before the 3 of them finished discussing at this moment, Hu Yan's expression changed. He took out a communication bead, and the transmission mark on it was slightly glowing. Lord, a message from my sect. Don't answer it. Jiang Xi's expression became serious. Jiang Xi, what's going on? Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at Zhang Xi in confusion. I was just about to tell you about this. Zhang Xi's expression was solemn as he explained the reason. Hu Yan told his sect, Qingxian sect, about the existence of Earth and how he came to Earth. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's expressions changed. They immediately realized the severity of the situation. They had already learned from Zhang Xi that Hu Yan had the battle prowess of a middle-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Then how powerful was Hu Yan's sect? I'm very sorry. I'm sorry for the trouble I've caused everyone. Hu Yan said sincerely in stiff Great Xia language. I can't blame you for this. After all, you were our enemy before. Zhang Xi shook his head. Then Zhang Xi said to the Xiantian duo, the Qingxian sect is well aware of the value of Earth. After losing contact with Hu Yan, they will definitely send people to continue the search. Therefore, Earth's crisis is not over yet. Xiantian frowned. How powerful is the Qingxian sect? Very powerful. The founder of the Qingxian sect, old ancestor Qingxian, although his cultivation is only at the late-stage nascent soul realm, he has the record of killing nascent soul realm cultivators. The current sect leader is at the late-stage nascent soul realm. There is also a middle-stage nascent soul realm cultivator, and 3 early-stage nascent soul realm cultivators. Zhang Xi smiled bitterly. Xian Tian and Li Baibai's breathing stagnated. Killing nascent soul realm cultivators. They could probably kill them with just a breath, right? Zhang Xi looked at the two and said, there are 2 pieces of good news. First, according to Hu Yan, old ancestor Qingxian left the Qingxian sect 1,000 years ago, and his whereabouts are unknown. He didn't even appear when the Qingxian sect was facing a crisis. Therefore, he probably won't come this time. The person who will come is most likely one or more of the nascent soul realm cultivators of the Qingxian sect. Second, it will take about 3 years to get here from the galaxy where Hu Yan's sect is located. In other words, we still have a chance. Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at each other. There was bitterness in their eyes. Nascent soul realm. The 2 of them took a deep breath. This was not good news. They didn't give up. Even if it was a 1 in a million chance, it was still a chance. In the end, it all came back to strength. As long as they were strong enough, even if the enemy came, there was no need to be afraid. Big brother, sister Baibai, I've thought about it. I'm going to leave Earth in a few days and go to the starry sky to improve. Do you want to come with me? Zhang Xi took a deep breath and told them his plan. Definitely. The current environment on Earth is very difficult for us to train. Only by going through stronger battles can we have a chance to improve quickly. Xian Tian agreed. Li Baibai also agreed. Walking on the edge of life and death and experiencing the horror of life and death, we have a chance to get stronger. Alright, wait for my notice. Zhang Xi said finally. Next, the 3 of them discussed some other arrangements. After confirming that there was no problem for the time being, Zhang Xi left with Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong. Pak Sun Province, Tongtian District. At this time, the entire district was still in the cold winter season. Snowflakes floated in the sky and frost covered the ground. Outside Tongtian District, everything was normal. The autumn air was refreshing and the weather was pleasant. Such a spectacle attracted the attention of many people. At the same time, the higher-ups were still worried about Zhang Xi's situation. They were afraid that Zhang Xi would encounter an accident. The person who could create such a strange phenomenon must be very powerful. After a while, everyone was surprised to find that the strange phenomenon suddenly disappeared. The frost on the ground and the snowflakes in the sky disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. This is a drill. Everyone disperse. Zhang Xi's voice echoed in the Jenten Budokan district of Pak Sun Province. Drill. Everyone was stunned. Those who were worried about Zhang Xi felt relieved. Villa 92. Jiang Dudu stood on the balcony and looked at the sky. Although Zhang Xi had already contacted her and confirmed his safety, she could not be at ease without seeing Zhang Xi with her own eyes. After hearing Zhang Xi's voice, a smile finally appeared on her face. The next moment, Zhang Xi's figure appeared in front of her, and at the same time, there were 3 other strange people wearing spiritual battle suits. Brother, are these the 3 pets you were talking about? Jiang Dudu's eyes sparkled. Seeing Hu Yan and the others, she remembered her dream of catching ghosts as pets, which had yet to be realized. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, Hong. The existence of the spiritual sense restriction made them acknowledge Jiang Xi from the bottom of their hearts. Naturally, they also had a good impression of Jiang Dudu. However, Jiang Dudu's first sentence made them suffer 10,000 points of damage. Cough. What nonsense are you talking about? In the future, they will be our family's guards and nannies. Jiang Xi scratched the little girl's nose. Although the little girl was not young anymore, she would be an adult in 2 months. However, the two of them did not feel uncomfortable with this kind of intimate action. They felt that it was normal. Nothing needed to be said. It was fine as long as they accompanied each other. Chapter 249. The three of you will stay in the villa next door. If there's anything, I'll inform you, Jiang Xi said to Hu Yan. Thank you, sir. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong respectfully bowed and left. They were very grateful to Jiang Xi for his actions and arrangements. Although Jiang Xi had placed a spiritual consciousness restriction on them, he did not treat them as slaves. Jiang Xi smiled. He had sent a message to Lu Shan to vacate the villa next door when he was on his way back. Villa 92 was his and Jiang Dudu's home. If Hu Yan and the rest were to move in, Jiang Dudu would definitely not agree to it, let alone him. Brother, is there anything else you're worried about? Jiang Dudu asked. She and Jiang Xi depended on each other for survival. She was very familiar with Jiang Xi's little movements and micro-expressions. She found that although Jiang Xi was smiling, there was a hidden worry in the depths of his expression. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. He did not hide anything and told Jiang Dudu about the Qingxian sect. Finally, he said, if the Qingxian sect really wants to come, then we only have 3 years, so I understand. Big bro, don't worry and go ahead. Don't worry about me. Zhang Daoda laughed. The two of them had a tacit understanding. Before Jiang Xi could finish his words, she already knew what Jiang Xi was planning to do. As she grew up, her initial willfulness had long disappeared. She had become a considerate little girl. In the face of such a crisis, of course, she would not pester Jiang Xi and ask Jiang Xi to take her on a trip to the starry sky. Jiang Dudu's growth and understanding made Jiang Xi happy. In the next few days, he sent Hu Yan and Chu Zhe out to collect the original data of the Earth with the astrolabe. The purpose of this was very simple. He wanted to apply to become the Lord of the Earth. Regardless of the crisis brought by the Qingxian sect, he had to apply. This was because the Tao Alliance had a rule. Private territory was sacred and inviolable. Once his application was successful, the Tao Alliance's heavenspan would leave a mark on Earth, and the star system it was located in. If someone trespassed on Earth without the permission of the Lord of the planet, he would be punished. He could then report this matter to the Alliance at that time. The enforcers of the Tao Alliance would hunt down and punish the trespassers according to the rules. Of course, Jiang Xi knew very well that this was just a means of deterrence. Those who had the guts to barge in would still make a move. Lawbreakers who took risks for their own benefits would never disappear in any era or place. As for whether or not Earth's existence would be exposed to the Tao Alliance, Jiang Xi had already made ample preparations. He would not record the secret data about the recovery of spiritual energy and the Grotto Heaven's secret realms in the astrolabe. The raw data of a planet included the situation of its galaxy, the planet's society, civilization, geography, and other data. The other secrets weren't the focus of the Tao Alliance's investigation. He had already learned from Hu Yan that the Tao Alliance wouldn't send anyone to verify his application to become the ruler of a wild planet. This was because the Tao Alliance's Eye of Heavens covered the entire universe. The Eye of Heavens would be able to determine the location of the planet and imprint it. Jiang Xi expressed his understanding of this point. The Tao Alliance's approach was to encourage exploration. It was somewhat similar to the old era of the Western Great Voyages. The countries of the Western world encouraged navigators to explore new lands. As long as they admitted that this thing was under the jurisdiction of the Tao Alliance, they could do whatever they wanted. While Hu Yan and Chu Zhe were collecting data, Jiang Xi wasn't idle either. He used all his energy to obtain experience points. This was because there wouldn't be such a good opportunity to obtain experience points once they reached the starry sky. It was better to prepare more experience points first. Thus, the monsters suffered. Jiang Xi killed all the monsters in the wilderness around the 7 prefectures of the Great Xia Empire. Although his hunting efficiency wasn't as high as during the Beast Tide, he was now stronger. With the Gale domain, his hunting speed was quite impressive. For a time the beasts were terrified, however. Jiang Xi didn't do such a thing. His hunting only reduced the density of monsters in the wilderness. There were still a lot of monsters. The warriors of the Great Xia Empire's martial arts world still had the opportunity to train in the wilderness. After hunting for 10 whole days, the experience points on the interface finally reached a new high. Experience points. 100. 22 million over 100 million. 100 million experience points should be enough for me to go all out, right? With this thought in mind, Riverward ended the hunt. The terrified monsters finally got rid of the fear of dying at any time. New Moon Year 96, September 27th. Xiantian and Li Baibai announced to the public that they were going to cultivate in seclusion. In reality, they arrived at Jiang Xi's house without alerting anyone. Tongtian District, Villa 92, Underground Training Room. Xiantian and Li Baibai stood around the teleportation array and observed it for a long time. This is the teleportation array? It looks so exquisite. Xiantian praised. Big brother, if you want to learn, I can compile a summary for you. Jiang Xi said with a smile. Forget it. It's more comfortable to fight and kill. This kind of research is not suitable for me. Xiantian rejected decisively. Biting off more than he could chew was bad. He was very clear about what he needed. Hu Yan and the other two by the side had faces full of envy. The Tao of Formations was a rare inheritance, even in the Tao Alliance's 9 major galaxies. After a while it was time to set off. This time, apart from Jiang Xi, Xiantian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan were leaving Earth for the starry sky. As for Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong, Jiang Xi had other arrangements. He sternly reminded the two of them, Chu Zhe, Qiu Hong, don't make any mistakes in the mission I gave you. Yes, sir. The two of them answered solemnly. Chu Zhe's mission was to guard Xiantian City for Xiantian, while Qiu Hong's mission was to protect Jiangdudu and Pak Sun Province at the same time. Of course, if the Xia Kingdom encountered any danger during this period, the two of them would also have to help. Generally speaking, after Jiang Xi, Xiantian, and Li Baibai left, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong would take over Jiang Xi's original responsibilities. Although no one on Earth had the guts to offend the three of them, it was always better to be safe than sorry. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. The necessary precautions still had to be taken. Jiang Xi did not trust those people from the hidden families. They could only leave with peace of mind after making these arrangements. Big brother, be good and come back alive. Jiangdudu's gaze was fixed on Jiang Xi, firm and affectionate. This was because Jiang Xi's purpose in entering the starry sky was different from the last time. Last time he was only there to explore and check out the situation. He would not encounter any danger. But this time Jiang Xi was going to train and would definitely fight with people. Don't worry, I promise to come back in one piece. Jiang Xi rubbed the little girl's head, then smiled and said, you also cultivate well. Don't wait for me to come back and find that your cultivation hasn't changed. Okay. Jiangdudu nodded vigorously. Then Jiang Xi teleported Xiantian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan to the Guanghan Palace on the first moon. As for himself, he disappeared in the light of the teleportation array under Jiangdudu's gaze. Chapter 250. On the first moon in the dilapidated Guanghan Palace. Other than Jiang Xi, who was calm, Xiantian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan were all shocked. Xiantian and Li Baibai were shocked that the projection of the Moon Palace during the third and fourth spiritual qi revival was real. Jiang Xi did not reveal this to them in advance. Hu Yan was shocked that he had just found out that there was an interstellar teleportation array on this moon. He thought that Jiang Xi had brought him into the galaxy so that he could pilot the flying ship and travel through the galaxy. Jiang Xi, do you have a way to get to the second moon? Xiantian looked at the second moon. Unfortunately, he could not see the brand new Guanghan Palace. The second moon can be seen but not touched. How can I do that? Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. Xiantian sighed. 100 years ago, when the second moon appeared in outer space, the spiritual qi revival began. Since then, people were more curious about the second moon than the first moon. The second moon seems to be in another time and space. The Wuxia kingdom tried to use a spacecraft, but it went straight through the galaxy. Li Baibai sighed. With our current strength, we can't explore this secret. Maybe when our cultivation is higher in the future, we will know the answer. Jiang Xi chuckled. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Xiantian urged. He could not wait to go to the galaxy and see the scenery of other planets. On the distant planet Songlan, in the Linhai City teleportation hall, the captain of the guards, Gong Shi, had just entered a state of cultivation for 2 months when he was woken up by his subordinates. After learning the reason, the anger in his heart instantly dissipated. The interstellar teleportation array lit up again, and it was an interstellar teleportation with unknown coordinates. Gong Shi did not dare to be negligent. He could not afford to offend anyone who could perform such an interstellar teleportation. When the interstellar teleportation array's light disappeared, 4 figures appeared. Gong Shi, together with all the guards, hurriedly bowed respectfully. Third Guard Captain Gong Shi of the Linhai City Teleportation Hall on planet Songlan welcomes. Sir Jiang Xi. Gong Shi was stunned for a moment. He saw Jiang Xi among the 4 people. Just like last time, make a new identity jade tablet for the 2 of them. Jiang Xi didn't stand on ceremony. He maintained his cold attitude from last time and asked Gong Shi to register Xiantian and Li Baibai. As for Hu Yan, after being a starry sky wanderer for so long, he naturally had many identities. There was no need for him to get a new one. After a short moment, Jiang Xi's group of 4 left the teleportation hall under Gong Shi's respectful escort. Looking at their backs, Gong Shi shook his head and sighed. A good family background was better than anything else. The interstellar teleportation of 4 people would cost 40,000 low-grade spiritual crystals. He had to work hard to guard the teleportation hall for 40 years to earn that much. It really couldn't be compared. After leaving the teleportation hall, Jiang Xi first brought Xiantian and the others to the Grey Cloud Star Trade Center to find Steward Zhua to sell some wonder stones. Because they needed money to do things. Then, it was Hu Yan's turn to lead the way to the Dao Alliance building on the Blue Planet. Hu Yan was very familiar with the situation on the Blue Planet. After all, the Qingxian sect was one of the top 10 sects in the Blue Planet. He had been here many times. Along the way, Xiantian and Li Baibai looked at the scenery on the Blue Planet in amazement. It was indeed very different from Earth. On the other hand, Jiang Xi was thinking about what to do next, which was to apply to become the Lord of Earth. When the application is successful, it doesn't matter if the people from the Qingxian sect come or not. When Earth and the solar system have the mark of the Dao Alliance's Eye of Heaven, it will serve as a deterrent if any starry sky wanderers accidentally enter. As there was a no-fly law in the cities on the Blue Planet, the 4 of them still took a long time to arrive at the Dao Alliance building. From afar, they saw a majestic classical building that seemed to reach the clouds. When they got closer, they could feel a faint pressure that made them feel awe. It was also Jiang Xi's first time here. When he saw this majestic building, he immediately thought of the Tongtian Mountain, the Tongtian Tower, and the Fengdu Mountain. The pressure from the Dao Alliance building was very similar to these 3, but it was much smaller. Jiang Xi, Xiantian, and Li Baibai looked at each other. There was shock in their eyes as they thought of the same thing. What was the connection between the Dao Alliance building, the Tongtian Mountain, the Tongtian Tower, and the Fengdu Mountain? At this moment, there were many cultivators coming and going in front of the building. However, the shock of the 3 did not arouse any suspicion. This was because everyone's reaction when they saw the Dao Alliance building for the first time was similar to theirs. Jiang Xi recalled the information about the Dao Alliance and the Dao Alliance Heavenly Court in Taoist Ji's inherited memories. By analogy, the Dao Alliance occupied 9 major galaxies in the universe. It was equivalent to a national organization. The Heavenly Court of the Dao Alliance was formed with the 3 sects and 6 sects, each of which controlled a planetary region as its core, and many other inferior immortal Dao sects as its support. It was the highest authority of the Dao Alliance that controlled the 9 major planetary regions of the human race. The Dao Alliance Heavenly Court's influence spread throughout all of the planets that were rank 3 and above. All of the planets that were rank 3 and above that were not privately owned would have a Dao Alliance building. It would serve as the Dao Alliance Heavenly Court's headquarters. This was somewhat similar to the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court's office. Many matters related to cultivators had to be handled here. For example, the establishment and cancellation of immortal Tao sects, the application for or transfer of a planet's overlord status, the training and advancement of starry sky hunters, and many other matters. At this moment, many cultivators were entering and exiting the building. They were all here for business. Jiang Xi suppressed the shock in his heart. He calmed himself down, then walked into the Tao Alliance building with Xian Tian and the other two. After entering, they went straight to the place where the application for or transfer of a planet's overlord status was handled. This place was rather quiet, or rather there was no one there at all. Not only was it quiet, but the staff member of the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court was also a very ordinary-looking middle-aged Taoist. However, his cultivation was not ordinary at all. Jiang Xi couldn't help but sigh at how powerful the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court was. Just a staff member of this office was at the early nascent soul stage. The middle-aged Taoist didn't underestimate Jiang Xi just because he was at the late Jindan stage. This was because the business he was in charge of was related to the development and transfer of life planets. Generally, it would involve a large sum of money. There was a fee for this kind of business. The greater the sum of money, the greater the fee. Even in the universe, the rich were the lords of the universe. For example, a rank 1 planet was worth at least 1 million low-grade spirit crystals. If a cultivator wanted to apply to become the overlord of a rank 1 planet, they would first have to pay 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals as a processing fee. A processing fee of 1%. Jiang Xi was naturally aware of this, and he had mentally prepared himself for this long ago. According to the data he had gathered on Earth, Earth was a rank 3 planet. Its value started from 100 million low-grade spirit crystals. A processing fee of 1% was 1 million. Chapter 251. A 1 million processing fee. Therefore, when Jiang Xi left the teleportation hall, he immediately went to the Green Cloud Star Market and exchanged 1 million spiritual crystals with the magical stones. In addition, he still had 400,000 spiritual crystals in the Taoist Alliance's crystal bank. 1,400,000 low-grade spiritual crystals should be enough even if there was an accident. If there was no other way, he could go back in exchange for more. After all, he, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai all had a lot of magical stones in their storage rings. Senior, I want to apply to become the lord of this planet. This is the original data. Jiang Xi handed the astrolabe to the middle-aged Taoist. When he spoke, he used the most authentic common language of the Taoist Alliance. The smile on the middle-aged Taoist's face widened. He judged that Jiang Xi must be from an extraordinary family. He took the astrolabe with a smile and said, "Please wait for a moment." Then, he placed the astrolabe on a stone pillar carved with runes. At the top of the stone pillar there was a closed eye. The eye suddenly opened, as if it could see through everything. It shot out a ray of light and covered the astrolabe. The Eye of Heaven? Jiang Xi was shocked. Then he realized that this was the clone of the Eye of Heaven. After a while, the middle-aged Taoist took the astrolabe. He looked confused and surprised. He asked hesitantly, "Are you sure you want to become the lord of this planet?" "Yes, is there a problem?" Jiang Xi nodded. "No, the Eye of Heaven has judged that this planet is indeed an uninhabited planet. However, if you want to apply to become the lord of this planet, you need to pay a fee of 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals first. Then your cultivation must be at least in the nascent soul stage." The middle-aged Taoist's words were shocking. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yin were all stunned. 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals. And his cultivation must be at least in the nascent soul stage. Wasn't this the standard for a level 5 uninhabited planet? For a level 3 uninhabited planet like Earth, if one wanted to apply to become the lord of this planet, one's cultivation must be at least in the golden core stage. "Senior, is there a mistake?" Jiang Xi quickly asked. Under the inspection of the Eye of Heaven, there is no way it could be wrong. The middle-aged Taoist said with a resolute expression, giving a definite answer. Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other. Could it be that the Heavenly Eye had discovered something? Did he know the difference between Earth and Earth? Didn't they say that the Alliance didn't care about these things? At this moment, the middle-aged Taoist's expression changed slightly. A trace of shock flashed in his eyes before he regained his composure. No one noticed his unusual behavior. He said to Jiang Xi, "You have two choices now. You can apply for it when your cultivation level is high enough. Or you can give up on becoming the overlord of this planet and hand it over to the Tao Alliance. That way, you will receive 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals and a top-notch cultivation technique from the Tao Alliance." Jiang Xi's breathing stagnated. He had a bad feeling. Was he being targeted? "Senior, what is the meaning of this?" He maintained his calm and asked in a low voice. The middle-aged Taoist laughed. "Don't worry. I'm strictly adhering to the rules of the Tao Alliance and giving you the choice. According to the rules of the Tao Alliance, if a cultivator discovers a new planet with life, he or she can choose to pay a price. You can choose to pay a certain price and apply to become the ruler of a planet, or you can choose to submit it to the Tao Alliance and receive a certain reward." Jiang Xi's expression was calm. He shook his head. "Thank you, Senior. I'll come again next time." What the middle-aged Taoist said was true. He must have been overthinking things just now. The Tao Alliance occupied 9 major star zones. There was no need for them to set their eyes on a small planet like Earth. Jiang Xi didn't stay any longer. He left the Tao Alliance building with the equally shocked Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan. The 4 of them found a secluded place to rest in Waterfront City. Jiang Xi, did they discover something? Xian Tian and Li Baibai asked the same question. They were also worried. If Earth was targeted by a colossus like the Tao Alliance, it wouldn't be able to resist at all. The omniscient must have discovered something, but it's not that serious. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given me 2 choices. Jiang Xi nodded with a smile. He then explained the comparison between the Tao Alliance and Earth. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were both intelligent people. They also understood. Yes, the Tao Alliance was extremely powerful. How big was Earth? It was like the richest man on Earth. Would he be greedy for a small village in a remote area? So don't worry. I'll apply again when I reach the nascent soul stage, Jiang Xi said with a smile. Hey, don't be so confident. Maybe I'll reach the nascent soul stage first. Xian Tian joked. Are you two looking down on me? Li Baibai also said. Haha, the 3 of them felt relieved. Although there were some problems with the application to become the Earth's Lord, it was still acceptable. 100 million low-grade spirit crystals and nascent soul cultivation. Money was easy to solve. When they left Earth, they brought more than half of the wondrous stones with them. It wouldn't be a problem to gather 100 million low-grade spirit crystals. The main problem was cultivation. It wasn't easy to reach the nascent soul stage. Especially Xian Tian and Li Baibai. They had reached the golden core stage less than a year ago. They wouldn't be able to reach the nascent soul stage in the near future. Only Jiang Xi was the most confident. His golden core would only need 10 years to reach the nascent soul stage under the nourishment of yin and yang. However, in Jiang Xi's opinion, 10 years was still too slow. He looked at the experience panel. Cultivation. Golden core late stage 397500 397500. Dao technique, Gale domain 700/50000000. Sword intent 1000/10000000. Amplitude 22. 6 deduction 10,000 experience points once martial arts. Purple cloud sword manual peacock visualization experience points 10,000/22,000,000. In terms of cultivation, although he was only at the late stage of the golden core stage, the newly comprehended Gale domain and the perfected sword intent gave him a spiritual power amplitude of 22. 6 times. In other words, in terms of spiritual power, the power of his attack would exceed the full power attack of 22 cultivators at the late stage of the golden core stage. If he added the Gale domain and the sword intent to his strength, his actual combat power would exceed the late stage of the nascent soul stage. Of course, if he encountered a real late stage of the nascent soul stage, he might have to think twice. Compared to the sect leader of the Qingxian sect, who was invincible in the nascent soul stage, they were on 2 different levels. Invincible in the nascent soul stage meant that the nascent soul cultivation was perfected and he had at least comprehended a complete Tao domain. Jiang Xi knew very well that he was still far from it. If the sect leader of the Qingxian sect had already set off, he would only need 3 years to reach Earth. I have to complete the golden core stage and become a nascent soul cultivator within 3 years. By then, my Gale domain will definitely be perfected. With the sword intent, I will have a chance to compete with him. Or if I am lucky, I can deduce the sword domain within 3 years. Then I will have a greater chance. But the prerequisite for all of this is to reach the nascent soul stage. Cultivation was the foundation of strength. No matter how high the spiritual power amplitude brought by the Tao technique was, if the foundation was not good, then the final combat power would not be very high. The spiritual power of a late stage of the golden core stage and a late stage of the nascent soul stage could not be compared at all. Moreover, why couldn't a late stage of the nascent soul stage comprehend the Tao technique? Chapter 252. Nascent Soul Stage. Seems that I can only look for Yang Qi. Well, I can also fulfill one of Master's requests. Jiang Xi decided on a new plan. When he was forming his gold core, he used Yang Qi to speed up the 100 refinement method. If he had Yang Qi to assist the Yin and Yang cultivation method, it would coincide with Yin and Yang, and the completion of the cultivation could be accelerated. Master left me 2 requests. One of them is to visit the descendants of his friend after I step into the starry sky. In Jiang Xi's mind, this was something he had to do, not only because he had made a Tao oath. More importantly, Daoist Ji's friend had saved Daoist Ji's life with his own. And as Daoist Ji's only disciple, he had the responsibility and obligation to visit the descendants of his master's friend. This time when he left Earth, Jiang Xi had this plan. He didn't want his master to die in peace. 10,000 years have passed. I don't know if the bloodline of master's friend has been passed down, but no matter what, I have to go. Murong Planet. Jiang Xi let out a long breath. He was going to Murong Planet, which was registered in his identity information, because the bloodline of his master's friend was on that planet, and it happened to have the Yang Qi he needed at the moment. After sorting out the next step of the plan, Jiang Xi said, "Big brother, sister, bye-bye. I'm going to another planet to do something. It may take some time. Are you waiting for me on Blue Planet? Or do you have other plans?" Because he wasn't sure if he could find the descendants of his master's friend, it would definitely take some time. Will there be a fight? Xiantian was concerned about this. I'm going to look for someone, a peaceful journey. Jiang Xi smiled. Xiantian and Li Baibai looked at each other, and then Xiantian smiled and said, "Then we won't go together. Baibai and I plan to apply to become Starry Sky Hunters. We will explore the Blue Planet and improve our strength through combat experience." "Okay, I'll let Hu Yin go with you. We can take care of each other." Jiang Xi nodded. Although Hu Yin was at the late stage Aurus core stage, relying on the 40% comprehension of the Frost domain, his actual combat strength had reached the middle stage nascent soul stage. With Hu Yin following Xiantian and Li Baibai, Jiang Xi felt a lot more at ease. Xiantian and Li Baibai were also aware of this, so they didn't refuse. They knew of Jiang Xi's strength. Whether or not Hu Yin was there, it did not matter to Jiang Xi. Everyone went their separate ways. Jiang Xi went to Murong Planet alone. The other 3 returned to the Tao Alliance building and applied to become Starry Sky Hunters. Of course, it didn't mean that one would definitely become a Starry Sky Hunter after applying. One still had to go through the assessment and experience. The trial would be accompanied by battles and killings. It was very dangerous. This was another reason why Jiang Xi left Hu Yin behind. Earth, Xia Kingdom, Paksun Province, Tongtian District, Villa number 92. Jiang Xi had been gone for half a month. Ever since Jiang Xi was trapped in the Jade Lake Mystic Realm for a year and came back, he hadn't left home for more than a day. This time Jiang Xi had left home, and no one knew when he would be back. Therefore, Zhang Daodu was also trying her best to adapt to the days when Jiang Xi wasn't around. She allowed herself to devote all her attention to cultivation. Seeing that Jiang Xi's cultivation was getting stronger and stronger, she didn't want to be left behind too much. She also didn't want to follow Jiang Xi forever. She wanted to walk side by side with Jiang Xi. Just like this time, if she also had the cultivation of the golden core stage, she could go to the starry sky with Jiang Xi to train. She wouldn't be like now, alone in an empty house. After Jiang Xi left, Zhang Daodu moved her cultivation location from the villa's balcony to the underground cultivation room. Late at night, the two moons hung in the sky. Zhang Daodu sat cross-legged at the place where Jiang Xi usually sat. She gradually entered a state of emptiness and entered a state of cultivation. After an unknown amount of time, it seemed to be midnight. An extremely faint light lit up between her eyebrows. It was almost imperceptible. This light flickered and completely drilled into her mind. There seemed to be a sinister laughter echoing in the underground cultivation room. At the same time, there was a ghastly and dense pure ghost aura that completely covered Zhang Daodu. Zhang Daodu didn't react to all of this. As if she had been cast a spell, that old guy's successor hasn't returned for half a month. Finally, I can use the method of possession. This little girl is born with an extremely Yin body. It's the perfect body that Yin was born with. Yin's natural remnant spirit was preparing to use the method of possession in Zhang Daodu's mind. She followed Jiang Xi out of the first moon and possessed Zhang Daodu's body. Other than absorbing some of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth during the fourth recovery of spiritual energy, she didn't do anything else. Although Zhang Daodu's physique was an extremely rare and powerful physique even in the Ghost Clan's galaxy, she still resisted the urge to possess her. Because Jiang Xi had obtained Daoist Ji's inheritance, she was worried that Jiang Xi would have a backup plan left behind by Daoist Gu. And Jiang Xi never left Zhang Daodu for more than a day, so she hadn't found a suitable opportunity. This time it was finally time. Jiang Xi had been away for half a month, and she was sure that he wouldn't be back anytime soon. Possession. Yin Tianxing's remnant spirit roared excitedly. The ghastly ghost aura that covered Zhang Daodu's body shook, and began to seep into Zhang Daodu's body. Suddenly, the ghastly ghost aura calmed down and then trembled violently as if it had been frightened. Ah! What is this great horror? There's great horror in her body. Spare me! Spare my life! Spare! Yin Tianxing desperately begged for mercy. The ghastly ghost aura was completely devoured by Zhang Daodu's body in an instant. Finally, everything calmed down. In the underground practice room, nothing seemed to have happened. The next morning, Zhang Daodu yawned and stretched. Then her movements froze. Oh, I actually fell asleep. It's over, I wasted a night. Golden core. The situation in her dantian made Zhang Daodu completely stunned. Overnight, she went from the early stage of spirit vessel to the early stage of golden core. What happened? Could it be that the spirit aura had recovered again? She hurriedly opened the computer network in the practice room and searched, but didn't find any real-time news about the recovery of spirit aura. What the hell? Zhang Daodu muttered. Sigh. At this time a hoarse voice sounded with helplessness. She thought she had been discovered. Who is it? Come out. Zhang Daodu's gaze focused and she shouted coldly. Whoosh! At the same time, a dark blue dagger with a cold light appeared in her hand. She was ready to attack at any time. The next moment, a gray figure flew out from Zhang Daodu's body. Intention greets master. It was a skinny old woman with sparse hair, and her figure was only the size of a thumb. Who are you? Don't try to get close to me. Zhang Daodu's face was taut as she maintained her vigilance.